Hi, welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host today, Charles, and going over a recap of last week between DEA and UMB, where DEA took the 2-0 win against UMB. Today, I'm also joined by, again, Daydream
Hi.
and her interviewee photographer, Raptor.
Hello.
Today, they're going to go over just a couple of questions and interviews about the state of the split this season, kind of the some of the ideas and plans that NSG has, and just the general direction that everything is going. But I'll let Daydream take over from here.
First of all, hi everyone on stream. It's a pleasure to be back here again for a second week in a row casting Victoris Amateur Series. As STO mentioned, I am joined by Photography Raptor, 80 carry for NSG Amethyst, I believe. And if, why don't you introduce yourself? Don't let me speak for you.
Yeah, I'm Raptor. I'm the 80k for Amethyst, like you said. We just came out of a season, winter season in Titan, so had a couple months break and ready to be back and playing in another league.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely great to hear. I know I did an interview with you over text form in the
hmm
little document that I made, but, shout out to my text documents. I work hard on them. But, I just wanted to give a little taste of the interview to stream and the wider population. So I guess to start off, what are your just thoughts, 1 week into the split, we're just starting off with everything, and how are you feeling about all of it?
I mean, I'm feeling good coming off the start. We had a good week one, so I mean, it's always nice when things start off strong. Short games, fun games, and then it's just kind of hoping to carry that momentum through.
Yeah, definitely, of course. You guys did get the win last week against Hybrid
hmm
Theory, if I recall
Yep.
correctly. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
and I mean we also had some data from like last season looking at like what they played, how they played, and so like we had a decent game plan going into it and wasn't too hard.
Yeah. Those are your opponents last week. Today, you are going to be playing against Whooper. Any
hmm
thoughts on them? How are you feeling coming into this matchup?
Fine. It's actually funny because L Dragon on our team actually plays on a team with two people on Whooper. And so it's got a bit of a fun time going on there with them. So it should be some fun times and
Right?
Seems Mr. Raptor has frozen up a little. Sorry, we're dealing with some technical difficulties, but yeah, just to compound on that, NSG Amethyst versus Wooper is going to be our streamed game for tonight. Photography Raptor, when he gets out of technological jail, will be back to talk to us about his thoughts on the matchup. Ezio, I guess it's just me and you for now. How are you feeling about this matchup between NSG Amethyst and Wooper?
I'm yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the matchup between the two since we'll have NSG's perspective on all of it since our ADC's here. I guess let's talk a little bit about Whooper. They've got some big names on the team. They've got Pops, and then actually they've got Ishan and who else is on the team? I remember Galifianakis being on there, but Gali doesn't play for the team at the moment. And then there was Nafquan, I believe.
Yeah. Um, uh,
I'm
yeah.
not a raptor, but I'm here.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that Photography Raptor has had some technical difficulties, we contacted him. His breaker is sort of down, so while he gets that fixed up, we've brought in Regdor. Regdor is obviously my lovely color caster here. He was in voice call jail while we were doing the interview, but he is back to just go on with the regularly scheduled pre-show. So
Mhm.
Regdor, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've just been sitting here listening to what was going to be a great interview. Somebody talk about my bald head in chat. I don't like that. But he's old anyways, so it's fine. I'm excited for today's match. I actually played against Ishan and Bpots in another league. Bpots was also on my team at one point. So maybe a little Wooper biased coming in, but overall excited to see, especially for NSG. coming off of a win last split, not same team, but nonetheless, trying to continue the domination they seem to have had in the past.
Hmm. I mean, NSG is just coming in as a big name. I mean, amongst some of the other ones, and they have what one team per group in this stage, and they have two more teams than the division above them, and then one team in BTS, I believe. So six teams in all, or am I counting wrong somewhere?
I
Um,
wasn't a math major.
yeah, me
That's
neither.
right.
Counting is not, in fact, my strong suit. That's why I didn't count to 10 for the 10 thoughts articles. I just
Hmm.
counted to 3 and I called it a day. But either way, NSG definitely having a big presence, in the Victoris scene. Obviously NSG Infinity champions of last split, and granted that roster is sort of scattered across VAS golds, but you still have to respect, the organization and sort of the caliber of player that comes with it, considering they have all this proven success. Whooper more of a sort of down to earth, friendly organization. I'm very close with Beanie, Beepots.
Hmm.
They're sort of more of a ragtag bunch of friends, and it's gonna be a bit of a David versus Goliath story up, for tonight.
I mean, realistically though, my I have high hopes for Whooper because I mean, even in the draft leagues, every one of them is a big name. Every team that they get on is automatically 10% chance to win. So it's not like it's just any random people playing together. These are people with a good amount of skill under their belt in a team together. I just want to say that because I want to hype up Whooper. I love that team.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Whooper, I'm more familiar with the Whooper players. I spoken to Raptor a few minutes ago, really, and before for the interview. But besides Raptor, I'm not particularly familiar with the players in specifically the Victoria scene, which is going to be good. It's week 2. It's just a good time for them to get their names sort of out there. Sort of you know, leave their mark on, Victorious. I'm not going to say Victorious history. It's a week 2 regular season match, but, if you start getting wins, suddenly other teams are going to start fearing you.
I mean, honestly, if you play a big enough game, week 2 will leave a mark. I mean, I hold the record for most deaths on Vigar in a single regular week, so it can be a big game.
Yeah, that maybe not the mark you wanted to go for. But I mean, just looking at some data from last week, there's really a lot of big discrepancies in draft. Corky and Victor being some of the highest ban rates out there. Some of the other things like Jinx is highly contested, and a lot of these things that play towards what the meta kind of is, and the VAS's meta is still being established between solo queue and pro play and whatever in between. So I really think it's going to be still in the creative stage of finding out what works for either of these teams and what is their kind of style of how they choose to close out these games.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. And I am getting confirmation from my lovely producer, Camcom, that Mr. Raptor is back.
Hello, world.
Are you okay? It's my first
I am,
question.
yeah. My breaker flipped. That it's a house in New York from the 1920s or something. So that happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, it is great to have you back. And Regdor, I am sorry, but I will be spending a lot of time with you tonight on stream. So let's try and get back where we left off. Mr. Raptor, tell me, what do you think about maybe not even just the other competition in your group, but just the
hmm
other competition in the league? You know, all however many teams we have. I believe
I
it's
haven't really
24.
looked through teams that aren't in my group because it's not really relevant right now. I definitely see like a couple names from people that I've like recognized before. I think there's like 2 players in the whole league that like I know that either weren't on past NSG teams or something else. So like I don't have a lot of context there, but I think there's at least 1 or 2 teams, like I said in the text interview, that will make playoffs interesting. So we'll see how that shakes out. I don't necessarily have like predictions out of the gate on who those will be because I'm not paying that close attention to them. I don't really care about them right now. But when we get to playoffs, it'll be fun to kind of dig through all those matches and see like how people did and what they were doing.
Yeah, definitely, obviously week 2, very early in the split, hard to tell, who's going to
hmm
be these quote unquote front runners. And, even still, even between regular season and playoffs, there's a lot of changes that can happen. So I definitely,
Oh yeah.
empathize with how you're feeling. I want to talk, you're specifically the AD carry for NSG Amethyst, and I want to hear your
Horrible
thoughts
role.
on the true. I'm an AD carry main, and
Oh, I'm
sometimes
sorry.
I cry. Yeah. My condolences to you as well. But I want to talk to you about your thoughts on the other ADCs in the Gold League.
Yeah, I mean, I think in most Gold League, AD carry is probably one of the worst played roles. I feel like most AD carries in Gold don't bother to learn how to actually play the role well. And they just kind of take a lot of what they do in solo queue, which ends up being like coin flipping games based on like what their team does, and then whether or not they can get to like 2-3 items and then sit far back. Like I don't think they actually really learn how to like be useful at the point that they have like one item. And I think that like that's really something that like separates a lot of Gold AD carries apart, is just kind of like what they do and how they play lane. Like I feel like a lot of times you'll see them kind of be scared to trade in competitive and really only play around jungle pressure and jungle prio. And I feel like it's at the same time, if you're doing that, you have to at least be able to farm halfway competently. And I feel like a lot of times I don't even see that. So it's it's varied. Like I feel like there's always a couple of good ones in every league, but I feel like as a whole, it's one of like the worst, along with jungle, one of the worst played roles.
Yeah, definitely very insightful. Sorry, the interview did get a little off schedule, so
No
I am
worries.
just going to ask you for any final thoughts, any messages to your fans or even Whooper themselves.
Yeah, so I mean, I heard Whooper, you liked going in. I think that was Ragdoor. I just have to say that coming out of it, we will be your favorites. We have some fun stuff planned. It's gonna be a good time. We like getting on stream. We like playing aggressively. We like to fight. So it should be a good time.
All right. Well,
And
thank you again. Oh, sorry.
and it's
I
just gonna
cut
be
you off.
easy. No, sorry. And it's just gonna be easy. So there's that too.
Yeah, fair enough. Tough words coming out of Mr. Photography Raptor. I am going to have to send you off as we bring in Regdor back from voice chat jail again.
I made it. I just love the fact that people are vying for my heart in this game. That actually raises the stakes. We talked about week 2 making an impact. You can make an impact on me. And nobody talks about my fans either. I think like there's at least 3 people that like my suit jacket and my hair. So we've got things going for us.
Yeah, definitely. Ezio, your thoughts on the interview? Thoughts on NSG Amethyst? Any faith that has been inspired by Mr. Raptor's words?
I think it's going to be some exciting games that'll go to the full 3 tonight, and it's just going to be a fun split. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting picks picked specifically tonight.
All right, Ezio, you said it's going to go to a full 3, but who do you think is going to take the series? I want your hot take prediction right now.
It's going to be Whooper, 100%.
Whooper 2-1?
It's going to be a Whooper, 100%.
Interesting take.
I always root for the underdogs, and if it's not this time, it'll be the second time around for sure.
Fair enough. Regdor, your thoughts on tonight's match?
You just hedged your bets. Honestly, like I said, I do know Whoopers. I've seen some of them play before. I think they're a phenomenal team. But I think some of the pedigree of NSG shows through. You can hear the confidence in Raptor's voice. And I mean, I'm going to say it'll go 3 games, but I think it'll be 2-1 NSG.
Fair enough take. My personal take on this is that, Bpots, he's my homie, but I have to go with my gut, and my gut is saying 2-0 NSG Amethyst.
Ooh.
Not even going to give him a third. Wow.
I'm gonna get so many angry DMs from Bpots after this stream, but it will be worth it. We are going to get into game as soon as possible, but before we get into draft, I am gonna send us to a quick break. But we will see you guys as soon as possible. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Victoris Amateur Series. We are here, NSG Amethyst versus Whooper, and we are right into draft. And we see, is that a B1 Darius ban out of NSG Amethyst? Definitely respecting the power pick by Napquan. That's not generally a pick we see like in comp, but I'm sure L Dragon might have had some terrifying memories of a Darius and solo queue or something.
Somebody hurt them. Yeah. And we do see Diana getting picked off too. I mean, last week, as I was kind of talking about on the pre-show, one of the highest picks out there right beside Leona at 7 picks out of all the games. So understandable, respectable. We don't want to see any more Diana Yasuo combos coming out.
One thing I do want to point out is that this Diana ban is coming from blue side. Generally what I've noticed in comp is that red side team will always have to be forced to ban Diana because they're scared of the B1 Diana. But NSG Amethyst is either A, saying that we don't play Diana, so we can't B1 it, we don't want you to pick it, or they're saying that there is something more important than Diana that we want to B1. And as you see the rest of the bans filling out, I want to see how they use this powerful blue side first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the other thing too, is right now in the meta, I don't think there's too many other AP junglers that are up there. So if you get rid of that, it's just kind of almost forcing Zen Zhao, J4, and Viego kind of the top tier.
I mentioned powerful picks for B1. This would have been one of them. Wait, we swapped to the Jhin. Oh, Lord, if only we could pick Corki B1, but we see the Jhin locked in for NSG Amethyst. I have mixed feelings about this. Rektor, I'll let you go first. What do we think about B1 Jhin?
I think Jin's all right. I mean, he's definitely a power pick, but exactly what we're seeing on the opposite side with Senna Karma just locked in. Karma's still sort of one of those flex picks that can still roll in the mid and top lane. We did see some of that last week around the VAS. But Senna, just scales better, in my opinion, than Jhin will. And Jhin can get, kind of hurt in lane and set behind early. So we're going to have to figure out, was that a good move? I don't think so. But we don't know. Maybe Raptor knows something we don't.
I mean, we see the lock-in of the Corki, so they do manage to pick up the Corki. Wooper not, threatening that takeaway or anything. So they did end up with the Corki. When I see an early Jhin pick, what I get scared of personally is the enemy team picking a bunch of tanks, because Jhin as a champion struggles at dealing with tanks. He doesn't shoot very fast. He just goes pew pew, and that's not very good at killing tanks. On the other side, we see the Senna Karma lock. I like the Senna. I think Senna's a really powerful pick. She technically can be flexed in, the bot support role. And that makes me I worry about the flex. If I'm NSG Amethyst, I worry about the flex on the side of Wooper more because this quote unquote support champion that was locked in was Karma, who could be a mid lane flex. Well, maybe not because Syndra's locked in, who could be a top lane flex. So Wooper is keeping their options open. Of course, they always could just default to this Senna Karma bot lane, and I'm talking about nothing, but that uncertainty is something that is a bit of an intangible in draft, I feel like.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the things they're kind of focusing on with Senna right now on the upcoming patch is reducing the soul rate that she's going to get on kill, which has been one of the greatest things. Now the slow on her Q plus the high soul spawn rate while farming just puts her in a great spot as an ADC to be able to kite out and chase down whatever she kind of pleases. And as we know, with her focus of the souls, she's just going to continue to scale and get more range as the game gets longer and longer. And she, on the other hand, is really great at killing tanks and pretty much anything in her way come post 20 minutes.
Yeah, 100% agree. As you see these phase 2 bans coming in, we have the Camille and the Trundle from the side of Wooper. Trundle being a top jungle flex, both positions that NSG Amethyst presumably hasn't locked in. And the Camille, meanwhile, we see a top laner in a jungle answered by NSG Amethyst, as we see the Irelia and the Xin Zhao being banned, and we see the hover for Viego. I have seen Beanie's Viego in a normal game, and it did pop off. And honestly, if you win in a normal game, you can win it. You can win in a competitive game. The Viego locked in. Viego is a very polarizing champion. Rektor, what are your thoughts on this Viego?
I think Viego at this point is a fine pick. I think it's definitely, I would have to assume it's going to have to go towards comfort. Zen Zhao taken off the table, so that leaves out the Jarvan and the Viego. So Viego, fine here, works well into this. Grab the Corki, grab now the J4 Jhin. You can start getting these resets, as well as Jin's not that mobile of a carry. If he doesn't get off his fourth shot or he gets CC'd, so something Viego can definitely attack early on in the game, especially with the Senna Karma.
Yeah, definitely agree. And we touch on it a bit. NSG Amethyst instantly answering that Viego with the Jarvan. Obviously, if Viego is able to get the kill onto Jarvan and get that reset possession, that can be kind of scary for NSG Amethyst. And we see the set locked in. Now we're gonna assume this is a set top. Last week, NSG Amethyst did put Sad Lantern on the set support 2 games in a row, but I think Blitzcrank top would be kind of free if I have to assume the set's going top into what is a Fiora hover. I want to see if this is locked in. Fiora into set a very volatile matchup, and this could be Napcon saying that I am going to skill check you. No, we get a Mundo lock in. That is definitely something that's a lot more standard, especially when you already have the DPS of this like late game Senna, late game Syndra. You want a frontliner, someone big, strong, bulky, you know, to make space for these champions.
No, exactly, and we can already see almost 2 opposing views where you have like this kind of poke-esh comp from NSG that can really kind of pull the trigger whenever they want with the J4 and set to engage and start the fight off or get a pick, get the blitz. Whereas on the other side, I think Wooper's a little bit more of a common kind of front to back, buff the Syndra, buff the Viego, start getting resets and just kind of take the kill. So it'll be definitely interesting around this bot lane matchup because as we do know, if Blitz fails to get a hook, he's kind of not a champion anymore. He's the only champion who gets slowed down after using the ability. Who would have guessed? So definitely interested to see if Sad Lantern can make a happy Raptor in this bot lane, or if we're going to see some things going Wooper's way.
That was a good one. I like that one. Yeah, definitely adding on to that point is Blitzcrank. It's gonna be hard for Blitz to play. Like you said, if that hook misses, suddenly you are just free soul fodder for this Senna. And if this Senna can start stacking on this Blitzcrank, getting soul after soul after soul after soul, suddenly you are playing against a like 140 range, 140 soul Senna with infinite range who is one-shotting you from halfway across the map. I'm curious on what Faker Pots, or also known as B Pots, what build he's gonna go. Because with the resurgence of Senna in the meta, I've seen a lot of different technology that has been played on Senna. I've seen some people messing with first strike lethality, seen some people messing with lethality without the first strike. There also is the Divine Sunderer build that was popularized, and there's also the attack speed one with Lethal Tempo and Kraken Slayer. Definitely going to be a tough decision for B-Pots this game, depending on how they want to fight. I mean, you touched on the front to back. I feel like, you know, maybe just going for that standard lethal tempo, try and be as much of a traditional AD carry as you can be, might be the play. You know, using your long range to deal with this set, this Jarvan, who are really going to want to dive on you. And you do also have to remember that NSG Amethyst has that core key as well, and that those rockets, that package is going to be a really big threat. So emphasizing range for B-Pots, I think, is definitely going to be how Wooper need to play it to, you know, make these fights winnable.
No, absolutely agree. And it'll just be a question of how they can execute. Hopefully, as we get into the game here shortly, we'll be able to, you know, see these come to fruition. One of my big things, I think, is why you have that karma is just to play Senna bodyguard. As the game kicks off and you have Mundo up there in the front line, and he kind of dives, karma's just so phenomenal at just kind of peeling away the ADC with the Inspire plus the Root to be able to hold down these targets in the back line and basically try to get them to fight off more than they can chew. The Jarvan may get the EQ onto the back line, but now you have this Enchanter here that's going to kind of eat your face. You know, Karma is another trash panda, I think I said this before, of where she can just buy random stuff and it works. You know, she goes back and gets a Kindle Gem. Congratulations, she's happy. Her Mantra Q still chunks you out just the same. And then she's just going to get as a bigger and bigger threat as the game goes along. So I love seeing the Enchanters in the meta. I'd like to see more of them in the VAS, hopefully, here in the soon coming weeks. So hopefully Altro can make this pick do some work.
Yeah, 100% agree. I just want to ask if you have any more closing thoughts before we throw this off to a break.
No, I think we've got a pretty great matchup. Please, for the love of God, Wooper at some point. I want a Fiora top. I want to see the skill matchup. I want something volatile. But other than that, I'm just ready to watch it happen.
All right, well, you heard Rector. We are going to throw it off to another quick break, and when we get back, we will see you guys on Summoner's Rift. But till then, see you guys on the flip side. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very beautiful Summoner's Rift. We're here for game 1, NSG Amethyst versus Whooper. I thought they were Whooper Gaming, but Bpots did inform me that they are just simply Whooper. They are not gaming, they are just Whooper. Regdor, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Whooper's not known for gaming, but Whooper will whoop. Super
Speaking of,
excited. And we already see like this early maybe invade from NSG with the
yes.
Blitzcrank.
Speaking of gaming, it seems that Whooper might have spotted this out though. They have the wards. They see all 5 members of NSG Amethyst walk in. Ultra with the Mantra Q gets it onto Sad Lantern and the rest of NSG Amethyst, but that does reveal that they have been spotted. Wards dropped out in the blue side jungle of Whooper from both sides. I'm curious to see whether this influences Beanie's pathing on this Viego. We'll have to see whether he wants to risk like a late invade or something, or whether he just starts topside. It seems that NSG Amethyst doesn't really have any intention of contesting the jungle further, though.
No, and I'm not a huge fan of that ward after a late invade. Like you got known that you got spotted out, Alto or Ultra already having, the money diff because he got the stacks off of that Spell Thief's Edge. But at this point, they just know where if he was going to start there. Instead, he does choose to start on the red side. So they're both on the same side, which means we might see this early contest down on the bottom side for the first Scuttle Crab. Which will be great because it kind of brings into light this whole 2v2 or 3v3 in the bot lane matchup that we're kind of talking about during draft.
Yeah, one thing to point out is that Whooper actually did manage to sneak a ward onto NSG Amethyst's blue buff. So Whooper does know, and Beanie himself would know that this Jarvan is going to meet the Viego at the crab. We'll see if Beanie tries some sort of reverse clear, if he's scared of the Jarvan, or if he says, I'm going to skill check you, and we're going to be able to play this 3v3 or 2v2 or however many numbers end up showing up to this crab fight. See a bit of a fight. The root into the pole. Ultra in danger. Pops the exhaust onto Photography Raptor. But that's going to be first blood to Sad Lantern. Can Bpots trade it back? No, it looks like Bpots will just get the W, but that is a 2v2 kill already for Sad Lantern and Photography Raptor.
Yeah, Ultra got a little too aggressive trying to get the bind down on Raptor, but just put him in the perfect position to get the knockup from Sad Lantern down. And once you get hit by one thing, you're going to get hit by all the things with Blitzcrank.
Yeah, definitely not enough respect given to this Blitzcrank Jin CC combo, but Nightmare Hell goes in with the EQ combo, gets the slow onto Ishan, and that is the flash forced from the Syndra. Ishan on the Syndra was getting the better of trades in the early game, but now with being chunked and having your flash down, suddenly that just swaps the tempo of the lane. And a hook onto Ultra again. The root comes through. Photography Raptor looking to pick up the second kill for NSG Amethyst, and looks like it will come through. Heal just to secure Sad Lantern's escape as the gank in the mid lane. Beanie goes in for the W onto Rendleman. You see the Valkyrie away though, and Beanie can't secure the kill. Will anyone go down? It looks like the side of NSG Amethyst will walk out wounded but alive.
Woo. That has some heavy trading, like we heard from Raptor in the interview. That is what's happening on the bot side. Sadly, Ultra already 0-2, kind of feeling it right now. But the same thing is we're seeing all this pressure in the mid lane. J4 doing exactly what you want him to do is to get these early ganks off, take this immobile mage and Syndra, and just make her a little bit more of a sitting duck. But great job from the side of Beanie to kind of follow that up and use that same pressure. And we got to see a little bit of a 2v2 where I think if one more ability lands, then you see Whooper picking up a kill in return. But so far, a little bit more of the momentum on the bot side of the map for NSG to be able to play off of, as this first Drake is going to be up here in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, 100% agree. NSG Amethyst with this bot lane has already taken the early advantage, and you saw how that kind of affected the jungle pathing. I think this Viego and this Jarvan were really trying to play around this bot matchup, but once the bot matchup almost was decided, without intervention from the junglers, both of them just decided to pivot to the mid lane. And while it almost looked good for Wooper, they weren't able to secure any kills there. So NSG Amethyst definitely very happy with how the game has gone so far. See, Ultro gets the Q onto Nightmare Hall. Maybe was looking for a gank on the mid lane. It is going to be really hard for anyone on the side of Wooper to lock down this Corki, especially when he does have that Valkyrie ability.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see as we kind of progress. Like you said, Corki's definitely a slippery champion that, among other things, just is so hard to gank unless you get that hard CC and able to combo it with the Syndra, or Syndra with the bind from Karma. Either way, he kind of has that ability to just stay safe in lane unless he griefs his Valkyrie early on. So definitely gonna be interesting as the mid lane matchup continues. With them pretty much tied in CS right now, tied in summoner spells. They're virtually the same at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, one play went good for Wooper, or one play went good for NSG Amethyst, but then Wooper was able to answer the pressure back. We see the EQ going down, and all throughout this game, Ishan has been willing to burn that Syndra E to just try and get damage onto Rendleman. Having this Syndra counter pick into the Corki, Ishan really wants to make this a pressure point for Wooper, because when you're giving draft resources to get a counter pick, you always want to make sure that it's going to be worth it. And mad respect to Ishan for trying to create a lead for himself. Sad Lantern is in the bush. It looks like another fight. The Jin W is dodged, but Sad Lantern goes for the hook, forces the flash away from B-Pots. But again, there's so much pressure created on the side of NSG Amethyst for nothing in return. Nightmare Hall is pushing into Beanie's jungle in this mid jungle 2v2. Ishan getting the stun onto Nightmare Hall, but it doesn't mean much. There's not much that Beanie is able to answer, and if this keeps going the way it does, this bot matchup is going to just keep getting worse and worse for the side of Wooper.
Yeah, they absolutely going to need some jungle pressure for the side of Wooper to be able to get anything accomplished. Once, Senna and Karma lose control of the lane and it's kind of pushed into them, you don't have any safety from the bushes, and that's just Sad Lantern's paradise. He can kind of play with their lack of information to create so much of an advantage.
We see maybe a 2v2 brewing in the top side. Beanie and Nightmare Hall have arrived to the top lane. We see the W down onto Nightmare Hall. Beanie is spacing the heck out of this Jarvan, getting a lot of good damage, but again, no kill can be picked up. We see the EQ misses onto Rendleman as the Valkyrie is burned. Ishan and Beanie are reaching for plays, but they just cannot secure anything.
Yeah, now Syndra has to turn around and come back to that mid lane to catch another wave coming in, while Corki gets to have the reset. Wonderfully played 2v2 in the top side. It equals out as a net neutral, which isn't good if you're the side of Wooper, but gives a little bit of pressure off of the mid lane and the top lane to kind of get these lanes pushed in, get back set to neutral, and kind of take it from there. Nap still has the ultimate up for Mundo, so he's not really any real trouble, and just keep on throwing out these cleavers.
We see the play, flash hook hits onto B-Pots, and that is the Corki package. You have to assume this 4-man bot will result in the play, and B-Pots without flash is picked up. Can Beanie do anything on the cross map? He did pick up the Rift Herald, and it looks like that's going to be the play. L Dragon gets the flash. She is able to dodge the Mundo Cleaver, which means that she should survive. The Rift Herald probably still will be dropped, but on the other side, NSG Amethyst have a free pass to the Dragon. B-Pot's teleporting back to lane. He took teleport. I did not notice that until now, but I don't know if this teleport gets you any pressure, just maybe to catch the wave. Rendleman, meanwhile, on the Corki, using his own teleport to try and deal with this Rift Herald. His first tower will not be picked up by Wooper, and that is first dragon secured by NSG Amethyst.
Yeah, just now found out that it is a Senna with a TP. I guess, that is something, but Wooper making the cross map play, not still able to pick up any kills in this game thus far, but able to get some money in the back of their pockets of Beanie and Nap, which, as of right now, we're looking at almost a 800, 900 gold lead for Beanie in just the head-to-head matchup. But as we can look down towards the bot side, it is a huge discrepancy between this Gen and Senna. Senna already known for really coming online late.
And we see Beanie looking for the play on top side. That's a flash W onto L Dragon. There's no set W. Beanie gets the execute, and that is going to be a kill on the board for Wooper. Beanie finally making a play that pays off, but Nightmare Hall looking to respond. The Syndra E stops the Jarvan EQ, but the Cataclysm is there. The Unleashed Power does not trade one back. And Nightmare Hall still answering any pressure that Beanie has, but that is the Senna ultimate, the Dawning Shadow snipe from across the map. B Potts puts on his sniper goggles and gets the trade kill onto Jarvan.
You gotta love it when a plan comes together, and this is sort of how you start nursing Senna back into the game. If you can set up these easy cross-map kills, now given that was B-Pot's having some hands, but if you could set this up to start getting a gold income through getting some of these kills in the cross-map or even the assists with the Dawning Shadow, it'll help nurse this Senna kind of back into a playable game. Just sitting on those Swifty boots as well as a pickaxe where your lane opponent's just shy of the Gale Force, almost already on their first mythic item. And that changes the game even more, creates even more kill pressure in this already painful pot lane.
Yeah, B-Pot's also picking up the red buff from that Jarvan. Definitely will give him a bit more room to play. If there is a 3v3 fight, Senna with that red buff, the slow on the Qs, the slow on the autos, can be a bit annoying to deal with. Definitely, you can't ever rely on getting a cross map like that, but it definitely feels very good, especially when B-Potts has been put so far behind in this early game.
Yeah, but luckily, souls continue to stack. That is the upside. Might be down in gold, but we'll still continue to just get this range and kind of slowly scale into the game, especially if we can continue to see these cross-map plays. Beanie continues to pick up gold already on the Divine Sunderer and can make some more of these plays around the map to kind of be able to rotate the mid to a safer side. Just let this Senna farm up and make her way into the game.
Yeah, 100%. We see Nightmare Hall moving the play to the top side, looking actually on the minimap to invade Beanie's red buff. We'll see Beanie not on the side of the map to contest. Nightmare Hall, though, sides against it. We'll see. There he goes. He makes the EQ over the wall, and it looks like this red buff will be uncontested. I don't think Beanie realizes that this is happening. Definitely getting a little lost in the sauce with the pathing here on this Viego.
And unfortunately, he steps to clear that control ward, and it just confirms that it's a free play for Nightmare to be able to just go in and pick up that buff. We do see that he's behind in CS by a large number, so that'll help kind of even that out for him. And just sitting on that Iron Spike whip, the Gore Drinker, pretty all right. It works on Jarvan. He's not traditionally supposed to be that frontliney of a boy. Just get in there, do some combos, make people die. But gosh, right now it just feels like NSG has control of Wooper's jungle and are just continuing to set up all this vision and kind of just put bot lane on the island. They can't really get much help because there's not really any way to get to them right now.
Yeah, we see Sad Lantern this entire game has been fishing for these hooks in the 2v2. And when they've landed, we've seen that it's catastrophic for Wooper's bot lane. And with this bush control that this Blitzcrank has, we see Sad Lantern walking up, goes for the prediction onto the Karma. Does not pan out, but the wave is still getting in. Ultra, looking for the Mantra Q onto the Jhin, does push him back, but the wave crashes, and we can see the CS discrepancy starting to grow. L Dragon, though, spotted on the bot side. Beanie and Ishan looking for the play. Will not be able to burst, and that's the flash hook again, this time onto Ishan. That will be a kill picked up by L Dragon. The quirky package used trying to finish off V-Pods. That will be a killing spree for Rendleman. And suddenly this Hextech Dragon just seems like a free objective for the side of NSG Amethyst. Napquan in the top side doesn't have the teleport. L Dragon walked down. He was able to, get to this side of the map, but what can Napcon really answer? He's playing Dr. Mundo. It's not like a Fiora, a Camille, a carry pick that will sort of, push the pressure of the map. We'll have to see if he'll be able to make use of this wave and potentially even the turret that he's getting off of that play.
Yeah, just doing what he can at this point. The bot side of the map was just kind of lost. This Sad Lantern's Blitzcrank is something to behold. It's created just so much pressure early on and just put their team so far ahead to where he can't afford to just make these flash hook plays because all of his carries right now have the items and gold to just blow
We
somebody
see
up
the
like this.
fight going in. Rendleman and Nightmare Hall pick off Ishan on the side. The Cataclysm. Beepots is stuck. He has no flash. He is in jail, and he might be able to escape. The rocket isn't enough. The Jin W does not connect. Beepot survives until Rendleman puts the final nail in his coffin. That is 2 kills. This is a 6-0 Quirky 15 minutes into this game, and suddenly Whooper's chances are slowly dimming as they're just getting picked off time and time again.
Yeah, so the question becomes, like, how do you get back into the game right now? I mean, you look at some of the upsides. Oh, there's a lot of gold on Quirky, and he is going the shield bow route, it does seem, now with that Vamp Scepter, as well as the Manamune online. So not the traditional build that we've been seeing this split with the Luden's Tempest to create those big Rs. The big ones hurting very bad as the game goes along. So that's a slight upside. You do scale, but they really have to staunch the bleeding early on. Right now, top lane's been their most success, and I think that's mostly because Sad Lantern hasn't gone up there yet. So we'll have to wait and see if Nap can continue to create just some sort of cross-map pressure and get them some sort of win, at least up on the top side of the map with the second Herald. Hopefully, I think coming up soon or now.
Yeah, that second Herald going to be the next objective. Beanie actually going to be the one to start it. Napcon though sees an angle onto L Dragon. Can they confirm the kill? Nightmare Hall is here. We see the W goes down, but that's the EQ onto 2. It pops the Mundo passive. Sec goes in, pops the ulti. Will yes, L Dragon will actually be the one to go down. It will not be enough, as Ishan might be caught by Photography Raptor and Rendleman. It is a 3v3 in the top side. Quirky Rockets are going to deal some poke damage, but not as much as they would have if it was the poke build. Sad Lantern here, though, gets the hook onto Ishan. How does he keep doing it? We see the Jin ult. The Curtain Call snipes Ishan through the side of Napquan, and look at all of this pressure that NSG Amethyst has.
That was just, again, Sad Lantern setting up so many plays. Feels bad that Nap didn't get to block the Curtain Call for poor Ishan, who's now 0-4 on this Syndra. And it's just becoming a harder and harder game for Whooper to actually be able to claw back into. And as I've been told by chat, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot. Ravenous Hydra and then Ludens. Every now and again, I'm allowed to make a mistake. It's because I'm beautiful.
Oh yeah, that is in fact Ravenous Hydra instead of the Immortal Shield, but we see the hook. I thought that was going to hit. I'm just so used to these Sad Lantern hooks connecting, but we see the teleport coming through. First turret went down. The Rift Herald is going to be used to push more. Syndra EQ stops the push for a minute, but there is a Rift Herald charge. The Syndra Senna combo gets the root onto L Dragon. The set W comes through the Facebreaker, not going to deal a significant amount of damage. There are no kills down, but that is 2 turrets for the side of NSG Amethyst. But it looks like Whooper wants revenge, walking in as 5. This is pure ARAM content right now. But it looks like the content, the flash onto Ishan. Ishan, a hook magnet right now, as Sad Lantern picks up another kill for the side of NSG Amethyst.
Yeah, this is one where you're going to have to go back to the drafts and say, maybe don't let the Blitzcrank through. He has enabled so much here in this early game and just set NSG up for success just off the bot lane alone and creating all this pressure that's now cascaded over the map. On the good news side is that we're starting to get to the point in the game for Whooper where Nap needs to start kind of just babysitting a wave on side lane, then rotating back towards his team. They need this Mundo to stand up front and look scary and throw cleavers to give some sort of space for any kind of spells and combos to come down from the Syndra or from the Senna. One of these two just need the space to kind of work with, even as being 0-5, sitting on the Sork Boots and Ludens, can do a lot of damage with a full combo if given the opportunity. But so far, Sad Lantern has just been in their face and not allowed them to play the game thus far.
Yeah, 100% agree. We also do see this third dragon going down. That is going to be Soul Point, Infernal Soul Point, for the side of NSG Amethyst. And Infernal Soul with Poke Corki sounds terrifying. I don't want to play against that. I know Wooper doesn't want to play against that, but will they be able to play good sidestep by Ultro? That's the hook down, but Nightmare Hall does get some damage. That is not going to be the kill confirmed thanks to some fancy footwork by Ultro.
Yeah, no. Ultro finally found the footwork. Maybe if he had that a little bit earlier in the game, might be looking at a little something different. But hey, nonetheless, finding their groove. It is game 1. But Infernal Soul, especially on either of these carries, on Corki or Jin, is a very scary thing. Both sitting on 2 items complete. Once Jin gets that rapid fire cannon, which I would presume will be his next item with Lord Dominic's regard done, he is indeed just going to be somebody who will just one-shot some of these carries if given the perfect opportunity to do so. And so far, what we've seen from Raptor has paid off in terms of what he said in the interview earlier today.
Yeah, Raptor deathless on this Jin. In fact, the entire bot side of NSD Amethyst have not fallen yet. That does mean that there are some juicy shutdowns, though, for the side of Wooper if they are able to pull off a miracle fight. I mean, this Baron, though, seems to be uncontested. I mean, the side of NSD Amethyst does not do it the quickest, so maybe Wooper will have enough time to look for the contest. They do have to be wary about checking into Sad Lantern's Blitzcrank. Beanie going for the steal! He gets it! Beanie with the Baron steal, and look at the fight! Beanie does go down, but oh, Rendleman with the package takes out 2. That's Ishan and Beepod's down. Rendleman wants more. Rendleman wants blood. Ultro next flash rocket. It's not going to be enough. Forces the flash from Ultro. Bloodthirsty Rendleman trades 2. It's good on Beanie to get the Baron, but that still is a 3-for-0 from the side of NSD Amethyst. Not the worst. But this Baron buff might be helpful for the side of Wooper to stall out the game a little longer to get this Syndra scaled, to get this Senna scaled, and get a better chance of winning this game.
Absolutely. The hero play by Beanie going in with a Heartbreaker plus Smite, like beautifully well done. Unfortunately, the rest of Wooper was kind of along the way. It's kind of like the meme where it's like, I'm going to go by myself.
We see the Shirelias, though. They're looking for the fight. See the center route onto the set. L Dragon go down. That's going to be the first kill for Wooper. Do they get more? The cleaver onto Sad Lantern gets the slow, but it looks like they're hesitating. We see the Karma Mantra E. They're looking to turn onto Rendleman. Rendleman 8-0-1 on this Corki right now. Has a massive shutdown. Would be great for Wooper if they're able to get this. We see the center route. This might be the kill. Can Rendleman trade anything back? No, 1,000 gold onto Beanie's Viego. And this is how Wooper wants to claw themselves back into this game. It is not going to be easy. They're going to need to find miracles like this, but the game is not over yet.
Signs of life. The Senna's E plus Inspire and the Shirelias just turboing this team into an unsuspecting NSG that really thought they were going to get an easy back off. And then Rendleman, they see, is sitting on the backside, almost on a flank, looking for it. And they just chose to collapse on him instead. Getting this shot of gold income with those 2 kills onto some of these people like Beanie, who we've already seen, when given the chance, will make the superhero play. It is just phenomenal to see. And right now, looks like Sad Lantern just looking for another one of those patented hooks, but kind of alone.
Ultro steps in, the Blitzcrank walking through the mid lane. Has reinforcements though. The Shirelias and the W gets Beanie out of the set E, and the hook does not land onto the teleporting Ishan. That was a very, very close call for the side of Wooper, but they managed to make it out unscathed for now. But Sad Lantern, this hook cooldown is going to be back up, and suddenly the kill threat will be on. Wooper wisely sort of getting out of dodge, just trying to hold on to their Baron, trying to figure out what play is next. The Infernal Dragon up in 40 seconds. If you give up Infernal Soul, this becomes a lot harder of a game to play, and it looks like Wooper wants to fight. Sad Lantern on the control ward, maybe going to get a hook. Sad Lantern not seen, has a bit of a flank. The Jarvan is forced to EQ away though, and this flank isn't really paying off yet. All of Wooper sort of crowding into the river. Rendleman does not have the package. Will they be able to push? We see the EQ onto Jarvan. It is not going to result in any kills right now, but it seems that Wooper has actually been forced out of the river. NSG Amethyst as 4 with the TP going to be 5 with L Dragon joining. That is a rocket onto Ultra. That is a Jin W onto Ultra. That is a lot of damage onto Ultra. But Ultra is this Karma. If he can stay back, if he can speed up, this could still be a playable fight. Both teams dancing around the Soul, the Infernal Dragon going to be the game deciding fight potentially. Napquan on this Mundo very, very tanky, creating space for Wooper. Like we talked about, they are slowly but surely inching their way into control of this dragon. But what? That's the flash hook. It goes wide though. Sad Lantern missing, and now Wooper see their chance. They see the Shirelli as we see the flash forward. The fight coming through. The Cataclysm might have locked their own team. That is Photography Raptor going down. 2 kills for the side of Wooper, but it's answered back in turn. Nightmare Hall looking to finish off Ultra on the backside of this fight, but Beepots is untouched. Can he be the late game carry that Wooper need? Double kill for Nightmare Hall. Can Senna get the Q snipe? The Blast Cone does not get him out yet. The Viego W does not get the kill. Nightmare Hall survives until Beepots gets the last auto. L Dragon on the set. The possession though, the Viego EQ, and that is an ace for Wooper, turning it around, getting their 10th kill of the game and getting this dragon. They survive for another fight, and that is more time for the Senna to scale. That is more time for Wooper to claw their way back towards a potential victory.
Oh my gosh, my heart rate is up so high right now. When you look at how they played that game, waiting perfectly for Sad Lantern to miss the Q, and as soon as that was done, it was all gas, no brakes. Nap actually flash queuing into the enemy team to make sure to get the slow and set up the fight. And Beatpots just played it so well all the way through. Some fancy footwork from Beanie, getting possessions at the right time, getting a little spooky to finish it off and keep themselves in the game. Now at almost equal gold, only about, 100 gold, maybe 300 difference between the two of them. And now it looks like we really do have a fight on our hand. They've called back for at least 5 more minutes. Baron will be up in 20 seconds. You got to think they'll be a little bit more wary now that this team is coming online. Plus, Beanie does some crazy stuff every now and again. So this is a very different game than it was about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, just a really good showing of resilience from Wooper. It looked very grim. You'd say 5 minutes ago, you don't expect this gold lead to be evened as quickly as it was, but you saw that Wooper, at the end of the day, were more willing to get the commit off of that flash hook miss. And, Sad Lantern has been playing really, really well this game. I don't want to discount the achievements of the Splitscrank, but that is the problem with playing such a feast or famine champion. Even if you are ahead, if you roll famine suddenly, it becomes much, much harder to play these fights. And, at the end of the day, Wooper were just able to out-execute with a lot less gold. And now with fights on even footing, if Sad Lantern doesn't sort of turn the play around, this might end up being a Wooper favorite late game.
Yeah, they're starting to play like a pick style comp. That was what was working so well for NSG in the early game.
We see the hook though onto Ultra. That is going to be hook connected, but there's not going to be enough follow-up. Sad Lantern in danger. Is this going to be the pick? Beepots on a killing spree on the side of Wooper, and the Baron is up. Does Wooper decide to make a play on this? There still are 4 members alive of NSG Amethyst, and they are almost all here. Quirky resetting though, and is that going to be maybe the package picked up? We see the teleport coming through. Viego though looking for the play, looking for the pick onto the jungler of NSG. They turn and set to L Dragon on the set. The set goes down. Quirky has the package, but it is a 5v3. Can Rendleman make the play in a numbers disadvantage situation? Looking for the rocket poke. Wooper trying to push him off, trying to force this package to be used in a suboptimal way. Photography Raptor walking forward as well, almost in a dangerous capacity. Beanie maybe looking, forces the package out. There's no package for Rendleman. 5v4 now on the map as Sad Lantern has respawned. The Cinder EQ does not hit onto either of the carries of NSG Amethyst, and it looks like Wooper is going to take the gold that they got. They're going to regroup, and they're going to look for a more consistent play on the Baron.
Wonderful turnaround. Once again, we're starting to see maybe Sad Lantern getting a little overambitious with some of these plays. Gets the QE over the wall, but nobody's there to follow up. And while Blitz does do maybe an absurd amount of damage for support, not enough to kill these late game champions. And in turn, it just turns this into a completely different type of fight. Same thing with Beanie, noticing that Corki was no longer there and just decides to pull the trigger. They can stand toe to toe with any of these champions if they is a 4v5 or if it's just a missed Blitzcrank Q. They can really fight NSG on any kind of these territories.
Yeah, 100% agree. But now we get to the point in the objective timers where this Dragon Soul is coming up again. We saw what happened last Soul fight. It was very exciting, very drawn out, very tense. We'll see if either team looks to change up their setup approach. Corki will not have the package for this fight. Rendleman picked up the package to try and make a turnaround play on this Baron. Sad Lantern over the wall, doesn't have follow-up for the hook, knows better than to go for one of those hooks like that, especially after being burned for it last time.
Right now, Wooper has all of the control right now, pushing them back into their own jungle.
That's the hook gone though. The speed up. Wooper is going in. Beanie dominating on the vehicle already. The Cataclysm onto the squishies though. Ishan goes down to Rendleman. The squishies of NSC Amethyst are still alive. Double kill for Beanie, but will he be able to finish this Corki off? He does. Triple kill for Beanie. Now Beanie has the Corki looking on the bot side of the fight to get the quadra kill onto Photography Raptor. Bpots does take the Penta away, but that is an ace for Wooper, and that should be another Dragon, potentially maybe even able to look for control over this Baron as well. I hope Beanie would get the Penta on the Viego, but Bpots, playing spoiler, looking to get the confirmed kill onto L Dragon.
Hey, the good news is an ace is an ace, and that sets so much of the tempo back for NSG that had been in control of this game for so long. But now Viego, sitting on 3.5 items, able to just go in every time that there's a missed Q from Sad Lantern. It almost becomes the play versus counterplay. All they're waiting on is for him to throw that hook. As long as he doesn't throw that hook, everybody's kind of held at bay for a little while. So you can kind of go back and forth and just kind of play around with positioning. But as soon as Sad Lantern commits to a play, it just is the trigger for Wooper to just Matra E in, hit that Inspire, and just speed Mundo up and let him run at him like he's a brick wall.
Yeah, and for the side of NSC Amethyst, you need to stop doing what you're doing, because it is very, very clearly not working. This whole, go for the setup, go for the 5v5 front to back is not working because you have this Blitzcrank. You don't have a comp that can out front to back Wooper. This Viego is getting free resets. I mean, even that last fight was fairly close, but Beanie's so far ahead, Bpod's so far ahead that you have to look for a pick. You have to look to take that initial advantage on the fight, make you the ones to, press the go button. And suddenly, it becomes a lot harder for this Viego to, get the resets, get the fight that he needs. The Senna is still a very, very vulnerable champion. We'll have to see as Wooper does walk into the river. They're looking to set up. Beanie, though, gets hooked. Will he be able to survive? That's a lot of damage. Beanie into the stopwatch, though. The rest of his team is there to cover. Looking for the reset. Rendleman goes down to Ishan with the Unleashed Power. Beanie gets the kill onto Sad Lantern, and now is the Blitzcrank. L Dragon Facebreaker does nothing. Wooper is cleaning this fight up. Not a single member has gone down, and they set their sights on the Baron Nashor.
A wonderfully played, great stasis from Beanie to be able to let his team collapse in and turn this fight around. We did a quick check-in. Oh, Nightmare, you're not in the right part of town, friend.
Beanie is very angry at the enemy jungler, does not want what he did to Nightmare to happen to him. Looking really to zone this jungler, and that is damage! Nightmare Hall gets the EQ away, the flag, and dragged to safety, but Beanie is not to be trifled with this game.
Beanie is absolutely on one right now, and that is the Baron pickup. Senna, Bpots right now, at last check, is around 65 souls, which that plus Rapid Fire Cannon places the attack range somewhere out in the ballpark of about 800 for that first auto, which is an insane range to try to get away from. So just has so much ability to start the fight off and stay safe or be able to chase down these kills. And it's only going to get worse from here. And that's been the whole thing, is that NSG has kind of capped out. There's only a few items left on the board that they can really upgrade to. where because Wooper was behind for so long, now they're really getting online. Now 4 items on this Senna, 4 items on this Viego, and these late game scaling champions are just continuing to show what happens when you're on a clock and you don't close out the game early enough.
Yeah, one thing I really want to point out that I like from the side of Uber is if we look at Bpots' fourth item, he picked up an Edge of Night this game. I mentioned that NSG Amethyst really wants to try and shift away from this front to back, looking for these flanks, looking for these picks. One of the ways you get one of these picks is a hook onto Bpots. But even no matter how far Uber have clawed back now with a pretty commanding gold lead, if Bpots gets hooked and one tapped, it is still scary. So I really like this Edge of Night purchase because suddenly it becomes so much harder for Sad Lantern to play the game. And, on this Blitzcrank pick, you had 3 whole items worth of time to try and, shut down Bpots to the point where he wouldn't be able to play. But, the game is still going. And suddenly this Edge of Night Senna is going to be a lot safer, a lot harder for NSG Amethyst to deal with. Hook onto Napquan. Gets blocked by the Mundo passive, and again, the Shirelli is popped, but it looks like a bit of indecision. Not necessarily the same way they pulled the trigger as the other times Blitzcrank missed the hook, and that Shirelli is an important cooldown for the side of Wooper. It's been a big factor on how they've been winning these fights, as we see time and time again, the Dragon coming up. We see the 7W root onto Sad Lantern. There will be no follow-up. NSC Amethyst have taken control of the river for now. Wooper in their own jungle, looking to try and make a retake play onto this river. NSG Amethyst looking to get as much control as they can. Their hook goes wide. Will there be a play seen? Bpots walks out, triggers the Jin trap, does not lose his Edge of Night crucially, and seems the dragon has been bursted down. That is Infernal Soul for the side of NSG Amethyst, but the fight goes down. Ultra goes down to the package, but Beanie is able to get these resets. Is he going to be able to win the fight anyway, even through the Infernal Soul? Looks like it. Rendelman went down to Ishan on the back of the fight. Nightmare Hall gets taken out by Beanie on the Viego, and Photography Raptor, the lone man standing, as the Baron buff did just expire on the side of Wooper, but Beanie looking for the play. They're looking to try and get this siege, maybe break an inhibitor. They pulled the trigger a little too slow to stop the Infernal Soul, but they were able to get the fight win. And at some point, Infernal Soul is really, really powerful, really, really hard to play into. But if you scale past Infernal Soul, suddenly it is going to be scary. And they're actually playing for the end. Photography Raptor gets blown up by Ishan. And that looks like it's probably going to be the game. Blitzcrank goes down. There's no one alive on the side of NSG Amethyst. And that is going to be the Nexus blown up. Wooper Gaming with an insane comeback in game 1 of this series.
I'm absolutely blown away. Wooper leveled up midway through that game. It's insane, and they did bleed a lot in the early game. NSG had them on the ropes, was close to what looked like just a GG go next, but somehow Beanie stealing that Baron started setting the tone and the difference to where they got a little bit of gold back. They got to fight a little bit, and then next thing you know, Beanie's putting on a clinic. That is how you play from behind. And next thing you know, he's sitting at full build, just able to run into the enemy team. Gets Blitzcrank queued, who cares? I'm just going to stasis and then, blow you up as soon as I'm out of it. Well played from the side of Wooper from behind. They definitely have some things to go back and look at to be able to clean up the early game. Maybe some of that's in draft. Maybe that's just some in execution. But a lot of defiance out of Wooper in game 1. Maybe not as easy of his opponent as NSG thought they would be.
Every single time I doubt Bpots, he proves me wrong. It's insane. Really good performance by the whole of Wooper, but I really want to give commendation to Beanie. That Baron steal was the beginning of the end for NSG Amethyst, and it wasn't just a one steal, a one and done. Beanie continued to ravage team fights, ravage the side of NSG Amethyst. And we see, looking at the damage charts, Beanie the most damage on the side of Wooper. You don't really see that out of a Viego that isn't absolutely hard carrying. On the side of NSD Amethyst, obviously Rendelman on this poke Corky was able to get a lot of DPS numbers, but there's some other numbers that sort of leave something to be desired, specifically this Jarvan and the Blitzcrank dealing about the same amount of damage. Granted, Jarvan isn't like a damage champion, especially as it gets later, but I didn't really feel the impact of this, this EQ, this cataclysm onto, 3 champions on the bot side of Wooper that don't have any innate way to get out of Cataclysm. Syndra has a bit of protection from the J4 EQ, but I don't know. Maybe it's a back to the drawing board angle for that. But we will, be going into game 2 of this series after a quick break. Regdor, do you have any closing thoughts for game 1?
The only closing thought I have is when you look back at NSG Amethyst, it was a lot about the pick potentials that made that early game so great. We saw between Nightmare in the mid lane and Sad Lantern just kind of all around the map making these plays. As they got to the mid game, as they got towards this bear, and they started trying to play the 5v5. And we just found out that Wooper had the better 5v5 in this game. So I'd say, when going into game 2, NSG maybe cleaning up the comp a little bit and staying true to what the win con will be for them could make this an interesting 3-game series.
All right. Yep. Definitely very well said. We obviously will be back for draft in game 2 as soon as possible. But until then, we will see you guys on the flip side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the draft of game 2 of NSG Amethyst versus Wooper. I am still Daydream. He is still Regdor. And we are back. I think I might have pointed the wrong way. Oh, well.
You were just pointing to the other side of the world. It's okay.
Yeah, it does eventually loop around. But let's talk about game 1. For those who missed it, NSG Amethyst started off swinging. Sad Lantern on the Blitzcrank pick was absolutely ravaging Wooper's bot lane in the early game. But Wooper, as you can see with the 1-0 scoreline, we're able to turn it back off of a clutch Baron steal and a bunch of clutch team fights coming through from Beanie on the Viego.
Yeah, it truly was just a really strong mental game with Beanie having a standout performance, as well as Beepot's just scaling so well into the game after just getting frankly abused on the bottom side of the map by Sad Lantern and Raptor. So it'll be a question with NSG continuing to choose and stay on blue side. Be interesting to see if they make any changes. I think if I'm Wooper, I would probably just ban the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, 100% agree on that Blitzcrank ban. One thing to note is that side selection was, it is a run back. We see NSG Amethyst on the blue side again. We see Wooper on the red side again. And I want to see if NSG Amethyst has a B1 first pick that isn't Jhin. Because I think that, if there's no real priority picks that you're getting, it becomes a lot harder for the side of the blue team. If they're not getting that prio pick, suddenly they're going to get countered in a lot more lanes, and it's just going to be a harder draft to execute.
Yeah, and if Wooper leaves something out like a Jinx, I mean, I don't see any reason why NSG wouldn't take that. I think if you run it back to game 1 and you have a Jinx in that same position, she just kills everybody on 2 items, and they do give the respect ban to Beanie of banning out that Viego. So a little bit different. 2 jungle bans / mid with Diana, but either way.
The Viego up, unless you're first picking it after the clinic that Beanie did put on in that game. We see what B1 is going to be. NSG Amethyst taking their time. We'll see how this draft opens up.
The draft is nearly as fun as the game once you start getting into it. So it's definitely exciting to see what they perceive as what's the best thing on there. We saw them hover the Corki and ended up going with the Jhin. Now they just go right back to the Jhin, saying, hey, we won lane, but we didn't win game.
Answer? Okay, so we see the B1 and we see the Senna Karma. Now this looks a lot like last draft, because this is exactly how last draft panned out.
Yeah, is this a replay?
No, we do see the Karma hasn't been locked in. It's still being hovered. They're still considering that one. I definitely do like the Senna, and we do see the Karma locked in. I think the Senna Karma was really good for that late game scaling identity. They eventually were able to do what their comp set out to do. Was it easy? No, because they got smashed in the early game. But now with this Blitzcrank on, they assume that is going to be a lot easier to not get smashed in the early game. And I want to see what NSG's recourse to this is, because if you run back a similar draft, you know, maybe the same thing's going to happen. Maybe you get outscaled by the Son of Karma. But we see the Victor locked in. Of course, the Corki is banned and replaced by a fairly similar pick. Victor, you know, has a lot of area control in the same way that Corki does, except there is no giant package, and instead just more lasers. A lot more lasers.
Just sounds sad. No package and a lot of lasers. That's just not fun. But I do think when you run it back with the bot lane, yeah, it has to come down to a little bit of a player diff, and they just have to navigate the lane better. Ultra did get caught out a few times, have some unfortunate pieces, but when we see a Morgana being hovered, that creates all kinds of question marks and locked in.
A spicy flex. So this Morgana could be honestly anywhere, because we know VPOTS most likely wants the Senna again. This Morgana, I mean, Morgana jungle was a thing. I don't think it's picked that widely anymore, but it's a probability. I mean, there's Morgana solo lane, there's Morgana top, if you're feeling real spicy. And then this Karma too. I don't think we're going to see a Karma jungle, but this Karma can be flexed into the top lane, the support lane, and the mid lane. And on the red side, you know, Wooper has decided to use flex picks to its greatest potential. Meanwhile, on NSG, after that Victor, they locked in Thresh, which is kind of like Blitzcrank. Definitely a lot less feast or famine. Does have that upside of having the hook, you know, still able to create picks on players that are overextending, but also has more utility, you know? When Blitzcrank misses hook, Blitzcrank is a worthless champion pretty much. Thresh, he has other things. He has Flay, he has Lantern, he has the box. I mean, the box is whatever. But Flay and Lantern being two of the most impactful basic spells in League of Legends in that support role, and that is an R for Yone! That is the content we like to see. I don't know where any of this is going, by the way.
At this point, we have no clue. We just know there's 4 champions, and Senna's more than likely on the bottom side of the map. That's what we have right now. I did say I wanted something spicy, and I've never seen somebody lock in a Yone quicker in my life. It's like me trying to play Zeri.
Why are you trying to play Zeri?
Because I want to try something new. I want to, you know, ADCs like new things. I want to be good.
We see Malphite locked in. We saw the Urgot hover, but we see the Malphite. This is some more engaged for this side of NSC Amethyst, and with the Lilia hovered, this becomes a very versatile comp. One thing I will note is that if this Lilia is locked in, there's not much physical DPS, because, you know, Jhin is more on the utility side. Of course, Jhin does have damage, but I wouldn't consider it consistent damage, and this is what I brought up when they B1 Jhin last time. Oh, we see Hecarim locked in. I saw the Gragas and I was like, that doesn't solve that problem, but Hecarim definitely more of a physical damage threat. I'm surprised seeing Hecarim fall down this far in draft prio. Normally a lot of teams do like to pick him up, do like to ban him. Hecarim, a very, very scary champion for immobile characters to deal with, and we'll see what R5 is for Wooper. Hopefully R5 illuminates where any of these champions are going.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does. I think it does. So the angle is set top into Malphite.
Okay.
Yone mid, Morgana jungle, and then Senna Karma bot.
Now
that's what I think would happen.
Now conversely, could be set jungle, Yone top, Morgana mid. Or it could be Yone mid, set support. No, that doesn't work. I've lost out. But either way, set can go still to go jungle. It's not as healthy of a clear, but it still works just fine. Bpot's putting out like a $5 in chat if we can guess the right top to bot lineup. No, we can't. Nobody knows.
I mean, I put my guess. I put my guess, but the fact that Bpot's is putting money on it makes me feel like I'm wrong. I mean, I could see set support Yone mid, Karma top, Morgana jungle. That sounds kind of spicy.
I also could imagine something stupid like Yone ADC with Senna support, and then set top, Morgana jungle, Karma mid.
I don't get paid enough to figure this one out. I'm gonna be real. We're gonna wait. We are getting paid, and we do We are going to wait to see in Champion Select. We will let Wooper themselves tell us where everyone is going, because we could sit here and try and figure out. Well, let's talk about the comp that actually we know where things are. That is NSG Amethyst. What are your thoughts on how this comp has rounded out?
Yeah, it has a very similar feel to the last game, where you have some early game pressure with the Gen Thresh. It's another situation of, if Thresh even hits Q, Sat Laner doesn't even exactly have to go in until it's confirmed by the W, and you can just really extend that CC duration for Raptor to go in and kind of get that decisive fourth shot off and get a kill early. So bot lane, I think, plays out very similar, where Wooper has to play on the back foot. On the top side of the map, it's again just a chunky boy hangs out. Trade doesn't lose too hard and kind of scales into the mid game, as long as it's a tank Malphite, which I have to assume we're not going to see any, Dark Harvest full AP Malphite on the top side. But
we're probably not going to, but would be very fun if we did.
I would love it. I love it in my ARAM games, unless it's on the enemy team. And then Hecarim. I mean, Hecarim makes sense. I know he should usually be a higher priority, but when you lose Viego, Lee Sin, Trundle, and Xin Zhao all in draft from bans, they've really depleted the AD pool in what's considered kind of higher priority. He has gotten some buffs in the past, which makes that AoE heal off of his W even stronger. With that Divine Sunder build, he feels more like a tank or more of a bruiser than, pure DPS like it used to be back in the old days. So if he gets ahead, if Nightmare gets ahead on this Hecarim, it's going to be really hard to actually kill him with all the fears and redirects that he has.
Yeah, 100%, and remains to be seen which build this Hecarim chooses to go, whether it be that stock standard Divine Sunder, I believe is the tech that people are going mainly, or whether it's this new emerging Phase Rush tank build that I've seen. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I've seen people go Turbo Chem Tank into Manamune on Hecarim, and have him be more of a disruptive force rather than a soul carry. Oh, these are our locks. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
It's more the Yone jungle.
Hold on.
So people tried Yone jungle when he was first released, and for a few patches, and it was like, meh. I guess if you have the Q3, like E into Q3, you could get off like a kind of cool gank. But definitely Ishan on the Karma and mid lane. Karma's usually using a solo lane as a neutralizer, and Victor also is kind of a neutralizer. He doesn't want to fight you early. He just wants to sit there and trade, make some short trades and just farm up and get on those items. So mid lane feels very snooze fest wise, but you have these two. Well, you have a heavy ganking jungler in Hecarim versus, I don't know what Yone's
There's
be.
no. Can I get a confirmation with production that this is in fact Beanie on Yone jungle? All right, I am hearing a confirmation in my ear. Oh my. Okay, Beanie was a bit of context. I'm good friends with Beanie. He used to be my color caster a while back, and he played mid. He played ADC. This is his first split, I believe, role swapping to jungle. And he wins one game, and he locks in Yone jungle. That is classic Beanie. How does this work? I've heard Yone jungle. My friend Coffee talked about playing Yone jungle, but he sort of talks about it more as a meme pick rather than a champion that works.
Yeah, I know that his clear is going to be kind of rough in the early game. I don't think he's going to end himself like a new player playing Nidalee, but he's definitely not going to be super healthy. The ganks aren't super great. I'm going to have to guess that Beanie just AFK farms till 6 and then ults in to get a kill. That's my guess right now, unless they do some crazy level 1 stuff and Beanie gets off to a great head start. I think that he's kind of in trouble if Hecarim invades him, but we're going to have to see. The man just had a standout performance, so I'm going to have to lean towards the side of I trust him, but we'll find out soon.
You have a lot more faith in this pick than me. We are going to send it to a quick break while I contemplate why Beanie locked in Yone jungle, but until we see you guys on Summoner's Rift, we will be right back. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time this night, potentially the last time this night. We are on Summoner's Rift, and Rendelman has shot Ishan with a laser. We are here for NSG Amethyst versus Wooper, Game 2. Wooper on match point, looking to try and take this victory away, but they still have one more Nexus to blow up before they can confirm their spot.
And Wooper choosing like the Fiesta Draft 5000 with some interesting picks, waiting all the way up to the last second, and us have to check with production to make sure that wasn't something wrong. But this is indeed, your screen is correct. Beanie is on Yone, and Yone does have Smite on purpose. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. I just love that Rendelman and Ishan refuse to like not shoot stuff at each other before the lane starts. But overall, very neutralizing mid lane between the Victor and the Karma. Top side should be interesting. I think Malphite just gets to kind of like hang out unless he missteps. Nap's not going to be able to kind of do much to him, especially after the first or second back. But all the attention has to be on the bot lane. Raptor and Sad Lantern put together a pretty killer performance and set NSG up for success in the early game. We'll have to see if they can do it again. With somebody with a name like Sad Lantern, if he misses his first hook on Thresh, I'm gonna call like a lie or something. But the bot lane should be as volatile as it was last game.
That's a lot of pressure that you're putting on this Thresh. We do see Ultra on the Morgana this game definitely going to be a lot easier to deal with the rampant amount of CC that NSG Amethyst have in this bot lane. Black Shield, can protect you from plays, can protect you from hooks, and that definitely will relieve some of the pressure that was put onto them, at least in the last game. I'm just wondering how this Yone is going to jungle. I mean, actually, he seems to be doing pretty fine. He is just like around half a camp behind Hecarim, just judging off of the minimap and the CS numbers. But we see Rendelman is looking to see for himself how Yone jungle can clear. Maybe he was looking to get a ward binding him on the bot side. Will this be a fight? The play into the Flourish. Deadly Flourish will miss, and that is a positive trade on the side of Wooper. Laning phase already looking better for Beepot and Ultra. Another binding root on to Sad Lantern, and we see the Senna forces the flash from the Thresh, and Beepots and Ultra strike back. They are looking to assert control in this lane. They are looking to prove that last game might have been a fluke, and they are looking to get this Senna scaling.
Now, it is important to note Sad Lantern does have the Hex Flash, was super meta last season, and we see it, rearing its head again, be able to find some of these interesting terrain scaling to find some interesting angles for the hook. So we'll have to see if that pays off for Sad Lantern here in the long run. But overall, like you said, the Senna Morgana, kind of similar to Senna Caitlyn to a degree. I'm sorry, Caitlyn and Morgana or Caitlyn Lux, where you have this CC set up in this long-range ADC that just kind of pushes towards tower.
Beanie spotted out by Nightmare Hall. The Hecarim E charges Beanie back. Beanie is level 3 to Nightmare Hall is level 4. As the Hecarim, being a jungler that can clear camps, was able to pick up the Krugs before getting the Scuttle Crab. And Beanie gets chunked out, spends a lot of time wasted trying to go for that bot crab when now he has to limp over to his Krugs to get that level 4. Nightmare Hall looking to get the recall on the Hecarim, looking to push the tempo, see what an early game Hecarim jungle can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be like the thorn in the side for Wooper, and the part that NSG can just latch onto in this early game is continue to get Prio in this mid lane, get Prio on top, and just invade Wooper nonstop. Do not let this Yone even allow to scale into the game, and just fight him for every camp that there could be. And that just cuts him even more behind.
Yeah, again, another game where there's a lot of trading. We see Yone jungle going for the first gank, looking for the flash, does not get the Q, but that looks like it'll be enough. First blood goes over to Napquan, and Yone jungle gets the successful gank with the Yone E, the Spirit plus the red buff and the flash. Beanie securing the kill for his top laner.
I don't know how I feel about this. Oh, Yone jungle, it's happening. It is in live and living color, picking up first blood for the side of Woopers. And, wasn't half bad. We'll take it. He's going to come off that reset and just have a little less tempo, or it looks like he's just going to go ahead and go into that second clear. Definitely a little behind in tempo versus the Hecarim, who, I mean, he was a menace for the first half of Season 11 with that Chem Tank. And now we're starting to see him lift his head back up again, like we talked about in draft. Has a really fast clear, super healthy. And at this point, so much setup from the side of NSG, where last game they seemed to lack a little bit overall, but they've shored that up in this game with the Thresh, with the Hecarim. And as they roll into this mid game and some of these 5v5s, they just have so many buttons to press go with.
Yeah, 100%. And getting the kill onto Napquan is really good. As you can see here, this set does have a lot of kill pressure onto this Malphite set. Having that true damage facebreaker, having that ultimate, the showstopper, means that this Malphite is going to be a very, very, very scared rock. The Malphite pick not known for its laning prowess, more used as an ultimate bot and a frontliner in later game teamfights to cover for this Victor, cover for this Jhin, but if you bleed out too much in laning phase, Napquan on this set will be able to potentially just take over this game.
No, absolutely. And you can already see it, Nap can just do kind of whatever he wants right now. So much so that El Dragon came back in, and now 3-man on the top side of the map does get spotted out on a control board, though. So Nap used the smart brain and walked backwards.
Yeah, and suddenly Beanie knows where the enemy jungler is, looking to get the wave shoved out for Ishan. Karma doesn't exactly have the slowest shove, but compared to a champion like Victor, who has, as I mentioned during draft, a lot of lasers, it can be kind of hard to match that in the early game.
Yeah, definitely be interesting. I don't know how early Yone could take drag on his own. But either way, right now, have the push in mid, have the push in bot. Yone now hitting over to level 6, so he does have the ultimate available. We'll see if he chooses to do anything now with, sitting on a nice little thing. The early game power spike of the Berserker Greaves.
Yeah, has that Berserker Greaves. Yone, similar to Yasuo, has cooldowns on his Q, and Yone specifically his W as well, tied to Yone's attack speed. So with this Berserker Greaves, it improves his clear by allowing him to move faster between camps, and gives him essentially just CDR and another Yone gank in the mid lane, this time forcing the flash out of Rendleman on the Victor.
Rendleman not on the Corki, does not have the safety of the Valkyrie, and so now for the next 5 minutes, he has to play even safer, knowing that this Yone is just hanging around with an ultimate available.
Yeah, this Yone didn't, that's a good point. Yone didn't burn the ultimate in the gank, so now has that added pressure, looking to just solo the Rift Herald. I didn't know Yone could do that, but you learn something new every day. But on the other side, Nightmare Hall on the Hecarim, looking to trade over First Dragon. My thoughts on Rift versus Drake is that Drake is inherently weaker unless the Rift has nothing come out of it. The Drake only giving a bit of stats, really, in Season 11, Season 12, Drake being used as just a means to an end of Soul. So if this Rift Herald, which can be directly translated into Plate Gold, into First Tower Gold, is used efficiently, this is definitely a trade that Beanie and the rest of Wooper are happy with taking.
Yes, indeed. It's kind of the interesting thing, especially at our level here at the VAS versus like pro play or something of the like. We still have a huge emphasis towards the top side of the map. It's not so much about the first Drake like you were talking about. It's more like the second and maybe even the third, just denying him off of that soul point, not letting him stack. But especially with somebody like the set in the top lane, who's already getting some of these advantages, if you just turbo him even further ahead, once that 14-minute mark hits, and he has the Unleashed Teleport, now he can really make these cross-map plays that Malphite won't be able to match because he's going to have the TP advantage, or he's just going to have a wave shoved into the T2 that forces you to respond and have to play, you can only play on one lane. You can't play on two when you're behind the tempo.
Yeah, 100%. This teleport, that you mentioned, obviously a very recent change. The teleport was changed from being able to teleport anywhere all the time to this new Unleashed teleport model where, other lanes feel more safe during the laning phase because you can't teleport to anything but towers before 14 minutes. But the flip side of that is after 14 minutes, teleport does become a lower cooldown summoner spell. And, you know, if you manage to sort of not waste the fact that you have a weaker teleport in the early game, suddenly the amount of playmaking that you can make in the mid to late game is drastically increased.
Yes. Phenomenal analysis as always from the wonderful Daydream. And honestly, the thing that's most mind-blowing right now is just how slow the game we're off to, as opposed to the last time at this point. Gosh, you know, we're already at 10 plus kills, whereas this time we have slowed down the course of the game a lot. And I think some of that maybe jitters, you know, side of Wooper's bot lane with Vpots and Ultra are playing much better now and not getting caught out by some of these, you know, missteps that they were getting punished for so hard, but now more so looking like they're the ones who are pushing in and really, you know, taking advantage.
Right as you say that though, Sad Lantern goes for the gank on the mid lane, gets the play into the hook, forces the flash from Ishan. The Senna ult is there to give Ishan the shield. The Chaos Storm dealing massive damage, but on the other side, Beanie pops the Spirit, looks to get some damage. Can Nightmare Hall finish off Ishan? The shield is there. The root forces the ult. Flash forward from Bpot looking to get the kill. The Yone ult misses, but Beanie does get the first kill. Gravity Field dropped. Ishan surviving on the back with very low health. Gets hooked, but Sad Lantern has to flash away. Bpot is there, still able to heal Beanie up, and that is going to be a net 1 kill for the side of Wooper. Rendelman doesn't have the flash yet, or it's coming up soon. Doesn't commit to trying to kill Beanie's Yone, and at the end of the day, like, NSG Amethyst started the play off, but it's Wooper who came out on top.
And you just see the power of this Karma in the mid lane. Does get caught out on the gank, but just the Inspire shields and maybe that Mantra W just allowing her to just be a thorn in their side and waste so much, and giving time for the rest of Wooper to collapse on the play and turn it around. We do have to see that Beanie has a little bit of time left on the Herald. Don't know if he actually dropped it. He does. Okay, he got it off. So that will be slowly meandering its way down this top lane. So they're going to set this up to just get a nice little piece. Won't kill the turret, but it'll be close.
Yeah, and on the other side of the map, Nightmare Hall on the Hecarim is not in a place to respond. Maybe gonna look to do a cross-map play. We see him on the Raptors on the mini-map, but you know, you get 2 plates for pretty much nothing. This is that Rift Herald paying dividends, and Napcon and Beanie, you know, the members with kills on the side of Wooper, gonna really look to pressure this top lane advantage, gonna look to get that first turret gold onto one, or, you know, worst case scenario onto both of them, just to try and accelerate the pace of this game. Nightmare Hall looking to pick up Beanie's blue buff in a retribution. That is the cross map play that will be chosen by the side of NSG Amethyst, and it's uncontested. So at least this Hecarim, who before had a decent farm lead, is now almost even with Beanie.
Yeah, and that's an interesting comment to say on cast, is that the mid lane Yone is in the jungle and somehow even in farm with Hecarim. Just really great use of resources from Beanie and from the side of Woopers to kind of set these plays up and get him past that early game kind of pain and those early clears to now looks like maybe not contesting the second Drake of the game.
Yeah, all of NSG Amethyst, you know, they all sent 5. They had a little river party, and they, you know, had the numbers to secure this dragon. L Dragon using her TP back to the top lane to try and protect this top outer turret. We'll see if Napcon wants to test his fate and go for that first turret gold. Nightmare Hall still, you know, hovering around the bot lane of NSG Amethyst, allowing this Jhin and this Thresh to push up and get the wave in. On the other side of the map, though, that was the first turret. The Malphite TP was not enough. This Malphite can't really do much in the 1v1 into set, and Napcon getting solo first tower gold is going to make him a formidable force in both the side lane and the team fights.
Yeah, and we're seeing the interesting build that's starting to pop up, and we see it here on the Malphite going into one of the tank items and also building up that tier for the Thimble Winner, a new item that was released here in Season 12. Not exactly sure how great it's going to be for him because you get shields based off of or CCing opponents, which I think is only going to proc off of his ultimate. But nonetheless, it's a good resource for mana, which we all know Malphite Qs take up like a quarter of his mana bar. So at least be good from that part. None sure.
On melee champions, Fimbulwinter, I believe, also triggers on slows, which is, I think, where the utility of the item comes in. On the bot side, Photography Raptor getting traded on by this Senna, this Morgana. That is a lot of damage that is coming out in the bot lane. We'll see, you know, as Jhin didn't really seem to have that much of an impact. We see the Gale Force forward, the hook and the Deadly Flourish dodged by B-Pots. The B emote, Mr. Potts with the fancy feet. Photography Raptor and Sad Lantern are just not able to dominate this lane like they were last game. Seeing the download complete, another hook going wide from Sad Lantern. The Black Shield not even burned. And it seems like this Jhin and the Thresh are just going to be reaching. Granted, they have a lot more agency than in the late game than a Jhin and a Blitzcrank, but it still is kind of worrying when, you know, your strongest pressure point. But I must stop that. We see Hecarim going in for the play onto Ishan. The ult is going to be enough. The Senna ult does not come through with the shield in time. That's going to be a very well played gank by Nightmare Hall. Meanwhile, though, he's trading with Beanie and he is losing, but Beanie goes back to the soul. Q3 gets flayed, has Glacial Augment. The shield bow pops though, flashes over the wall, has the black shield as well, doesn't take the blast cone. Won't have the same starting syllable. The curtain call, 4th shot hits on the Beanie. Beanie looking to heal up off of this romp. The cleanse flash forward from Photography Raptor, but he doesn't get the kill. He burns the cleanse, he burns the flash, and now he's very, very vulnerable. Napquan with the TP coming in. Ultra maybe looking for the dark, finding it, it hits. Photography Raptor has flown too close to the sun and he is burned.
My goodness, NSG, as you said, right before this play, their bot lane was grasping, trying to make a play happen, trying to force something. And Beanie just, again, putting on this kind of clinic where it's a question of, was he going to end or not? But instead, he was able to pull this fight and just elongate it. And so his bot lane could kind of come into this 3v3. Like you said, Nap coming in with a TP as well to turn this into a positive. Poor Ishan.
Nightmare Hall looking again on Ishan, but this Karma is a very, very resilient champion, has the shields, has the self-healing with the mantra Inspire, and on the top side, Beanie now with the Rift Herald, maybe looking to make a play onto L Dragon, forces the flash. That's going to be a very, very crucial cooldown. But talking about that last play, you mentioned that the bot lane was grasping for some sort of advantage, and that's really what it felt like. That cleanse into a flash forward over the wall felt like desperation from Photography Raptor. He seems like he's playing shaken, but he's still not stirred as he goes in for the trade. We see the Dark Binding and the Center Root miss. 4th shot traded back onto B-Pot. Does the hook hit? Black shielded by Ultra. Walking in, the flash from Thresh gets the play onto B-Pot, but it's not going to secure the kill. Deadly Flourish into the Gale Force though. Flash forward, the Q comes through, and that is the 2v2 kill that NSG Amethyst were looking for. B-Pot's taken out by the bouncing grenade of Photography Raptor. Meanwhile, though, the Rift Herald, I believe, was summoned up on the other side, looking to just get some gold. It looked close. It definitely didn't look like a dominating fight from NSG Amethyst as it did last game, but you know, that's still a 2v2 kill. You can't let that be happening. And speaking of let that happen, Beanie let his blue buff be lasered away, pops the Yone Spirit, goes back, forces the TP out of L Dragon. And speaking of dragons, this is the 3rd dragon for NSG Amethyst, the 2nd game in the row where they get the first 3 dragons. Fairly uncontested. And this time, I don't see Wooper really making too much of a cross-map play. I mean, Napquan doesn't have the TP, didn't complete the recall earlier, just looking to maybe shove the wave in. NSG Amethyst getting that bot shove, using 4 members strong to get Prio. B-Pots and Ultra just had to walk back.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point in the game where we talked about last game, not last night. We weren't here yesterday. About how the scaling comps kind of work. And again, you still have this major scaling option with the Victor on the side of NSG. But on the opposite side, when you have this Senna, when you have this Karma, and even Yone to a certain degree, that are just going to continue to become more of a monster as the game develops, you have to feel like NSG is on the clock. They have to find these advantages and generate this gold lead so that they can go ahead and kind of force these things as we go forward and make Wooper kind of walk into them or have to match plays as opposed to producing their own. And thus far, being on Soul Point, like that means something. You have 3 dragons stacked your way, but you don't have the soul yet. And when you get around the 3rd Drake of the game, this is where these people are online. Everybody's sitting on a mythic item, some working on halfway through their 2nd. So when Soul Point comes up, it'll be a question if Wooper can once again find these fights that turn the tide of the game and really open it up for them with just 2k gold lead at this time.
Yeah, the gold lead, not exactly in the most commanding spot. Obviously, Wooper does have the lead, but a 2k gold lead isn't like everything when the opponent is already on Soul Point at 20 minutes into this game. Another Infernal Soul is still going to be scary on the side of this Victor, this Jhin. Granted, Infernal Soul wasn't enough to win the game for NSG Amethyst last game, but Beanie's only 2-0. He's not 12-2. If NSG Amethyst is going to get this soul without, losing too many fights before it, suddenly, that soul might be the difference maker to shift the tempo back into NSG Amethyst's favor. And we see the hook into the Deadly Flourish. Beepot's absolutely destroyed. Steps too far forward. That is going to be the turret too, picked up by the bot lane of NSG Amethyst. And suddenly we're getting back to the dominance that they were showing in game 1. On the other side, though, Beanie and Napquan have gotten behind L Dragon. Will he be able to get out, maybe with the Unstoppable Force? But that is a lot of damage. The ult goes over the wall. Beanie ults as well. Will he be able to get enough damage before he has to go back? No, he doesn't, as a trade ult for ult, but a good gank escape by L Dragon.
Absolutely. Bebop's got just absolutely hornswoggled on the bottom side of the map. It's what happens when you step up and kind of disrespect this bot lane duo, and he paid for it. But here now on the opposite side, we continue just to see action. But this Victor, unlike the Corki pick of last time, has this huge terrain stopper with the gravitation field that really just stops any of the counterplay when they're kind of running away from these situations. No decisive real points to either side. This feels like it could go either way at this point. The big emphasis for the side of Wooper is objective setup. You have 1:30 until this next Drake. It is Soul Point for NSG. You have not fought a 5v5 yet, but you have to think that it's brewing with this as we begin setting up these defensive vision and deep vision for this Soul Point.
Yeah, we see Wooper already trying to get control over the river, have Senna shove out the mid lane, but this is looking back like the ARAM sort of, or I guess ARAR, all random, all river. Beanie looking to trade aggressively with the E and the Black Shield, forces the Gale Force out of Photography Raptor. That is a half health Jhin before this fight has even started. This is the power of the Yone. If he is strong, he is able to just press E, go on to your carries, and in case he's ever in any danger, he can just reactivate it and get out. Oh, but they're looking for the pick. That is a lot of damage on that laser already. The E popped again, the Black Shield onto Beanie. Will the fight be committed? No, Beanie takes the E out, not ready to look for the full fight yet. He goes in again. He's playing kind of scary, the Flay. That could have been bad. That could have been bad if the Flay went down onto him. We see the curtain call popped. 1 shot onto Beanie, 2 shots onto Beanie, Unstoppable Force onto Beanie, and that is 1 dead Beanie. Yone dead before the fight has even started, and NSG Amethyst looking to clean it up. Flash forward from Brendelman with the Chaos Storm, and on the other side, Napquan isn't able to trade any kills. The rest of Wooper forced out as a 5v1 as the second kill this fight is picked up, this time by Photography Raptor, and that is going to be Infernal Soul. Suddenly, that overextension is going to cost them the soul, and they are not in the same position that they were last game when they gave up soul. They are still, they are not ahead. They're even behind in gold after that last fight, and NSG Amethyst, now, what can they do with this soul? How can they use it, the siege towers, to get barons? We'll have to see what decisions they make.
And this is honestly a pretty early soul in the game, just now at 25 minutes. And the biggest thing you're seeing is the difference in NSG's comp versus Whoopers. They don't have... NSG has all the buttons in the world, from the Unstoppable Force, the Victor Gravitation Field, Hecarim going in. They have so many different ways, and not even mentioning Thresh, that they can engage and start these affairs, with Victor just getting that chip damage that we saw over and over on to any of the carries of Whoopers, where Whoopers really have to wait for a misstep, have to try to not overextend too hard.
Speaking of a misstep, though, Beanie might have the pick onto Nightmare Hall. The Senna ult does not land. That was the Yone ult burned, but that could have been a really good pick, especially with the Baron coming up. But Beanie just didn't have enough damage at that time. This Hecarim, when Triforce Frozen Heart, not a build that I had seen before, but Frozen Heart definitely making sense, slowing the attack speed. I talked about how Berserker's Greaves is really good for Yone because attack speed means CDR. Suddenly, lowering the Yone's attack speed means that's like cooldown raised. That's not like a thing that is commonly in League of Legends, but what is a thing is Sad Lantern getting the hook. There is not going to be a follow-up fight, but that was potential. The fight instead going to be taken to Ishan on the bot lane. Gets the root, but it's unstoppable by Hecarim, and suddenly Ishan is stuck between a rock and a hard place, takes the blast cone over the alcove wall into his demise, and NSG Amethyst looking to keep control of this game. Napquan maybe looking for a fight with El Dragon, but suddenly she is very, very tanky. Napquan not able to bully her out like he was able to in the early game.
And this is now a very different game than what we saw at this point in the last time. Beanie going for it again.
Beanie going for it again, looking onto Photography Raptor, but the root came through before the Black Shield did. He might have been able to get a little more damage, but I doubt that would have been a full kill. You see, just looking at items across the board, this Karma going full support with the Moonstone and the Ardent Sensor. Meanwhile, Morgana has her Zanya, is definitely a staple of that champion, using the ultimate in conjunction with the stasis. We'll have to see like how Whooper is going to be able to regain the lead that they got. It feels like, from my perspective, it looks like Whooper was like, oh my god, the Yone jungle is working, and then forgot about like the rest of the team. Because this Yone pick, I don't think can 1v9. I mean, he is up a massive amount of CS over this Hecarim, but there still are 5 other champions, and if the rest of your team isn't pulling their weight, then suddenly, these fights become very hard. That also is not to forget that Beanie was caught out at the start of the Dragon Soul fight, and if that happens again, if this Yone goes down, suddenly it becomes infinitely more difficult, and we see he's getting chunked out by the Infernal Soul, the lasers, the Deadly Flourish. There's a lot of range that NSG Amethyst is able to play off of.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. Take out Beanie, you can't get the objective. You take out Beanie, there's this huge DPS option gone for them, and you kind of watch during that soul fight, Whoopers just has to scatter to the winds because they're automatically in that 4v5. So they have to play these smart, gain this vision control over their own jungle again, and really look for those interesting side angles for Yone to come in with the Spirit to try to get down these not so tanky members of the side of NSG.
One thing I want to point out that switching the Whooper did have a Karma last game, but we see the trade. But I am interrupted as Whooper does get some big damage. Well, they get big damage on the Thrash. Malphite does not particularly care. But what I was saying is that last game they had Ultro on the Karma, and Ultro built Shirelia's. Ultro was eating forwards aggressively, and it seems that Ishan on this pick, going with the Moonstone build, playing a bit more passive, and I'm not sure if that's what I wanted to see out of this Karma mid. I think I still wanted to see that whole Shirelia's Inspire kind of gameplay where you're speeding the Yone, you're speeding the set, and you are making the proactive calls, because I feel like that is how Whooper won last game. They were insanely decisive once, Sad Lantern missed those Blitzcrank hooks, and I'm not seeing that same level of decisive action this game, and it seems to be biting them in the back.
No, I completely agree. And I think the other thing that you find with this too is when you pick these Karma and solo lanes and build as an enchanter, you lose out on a ton of DPS. I mean, they had a Syndra last game. on top of everything. But now the damage is really put solely on the side of Beepots and Beanie. I mean, Set can do a terrible amount of damage, but right now he's just so outranged that he's really getting in on the backside.
Beanie walking in, pops the black shield onto him. That's the ult onto Photography Raptor. He does, no, not onto Photography Raptor, onto Rendleman. Photography Raptor is in the back with the curtain call. There is going to be no kill because stopwatch was popped. We see though, Beanie's still untouched in the fight. Napquan taking a lot of damage. No member of either squad has gone down, but the health bars are getting kind of low for NSGA Amethyst as the Elder Dragon spawns. Beanie looking for the E again. The Lantern pulls Elder Dragon away, and that is the jungler dead. Beanie and Beepots deal enough damage to pick off Nightmare Hall, and suddenly there is no smite for this Elder Dragon. But we see the fight coming through. There's a lot of damage coming down still. Beanie looking for the Q3 onto Sad Lantern. Pops back to the E. It looks like Wooper wants to finish off the Elder, but Ishan's already taken out. Photography Raptor looking to do the same to Ultra, but that is the objective bounty. That is the Elder Dragon. Can Beanie and Beepots and the rest of Wooper turn this around? It looks like they will. Elder Dragon burns slowly to that Elder Dragon, and Beepots just walks into Photography Raptor, but Photography Raptor bites, and he bites hard. Beepots sort of brain doffed it there, just walked into the Jhin, maybe thought he had his team around, but that is a crucial Elder on the Senna that is supposed to have the most range, has this rapid fire, has these souls stacked, and that is just a very costly mistake on the side of Wooper. Just giving up that Elder, giving up that pressure. This Baron is up. It's going to be on Beanie and Napquan with this Elder Dragon to turn this Baron fight.
No, absolutely. Just started off with such a great play, getting the enemy jungler down, so it was uncontestable, but we're seeing how much this Infernal Soul is paying off, the amount of damage that can be done. Beepots sadly went melee range on a long-range champion. Feels bad because they didn't care about the Elder Dragon buff there, but now as we come into this Baron fight, it's almost a level playing field. Just a question of whether Beanie can continue to find these angles and get onto these key carries before they can kind of get away and heal up.
Yeah, we see both teams posturing around this Baron. Beanie walks way forward. He has to instant pop the E, doesn't get punished for his hubris. We see the curtain call pop now, ult onto Beanie, but he has the black shield. No team is taking too much damage. We see the Q3 doesn't tag onto anyone, takes the E back. The fourth shot will not be able to execute anyone as these health bars are still fairly healthy. We see though the Baron is doing a bit of work to the side of Wooper. We see the flash forward hook onto Napquan though. That's not the target you want to hit as Wooper goes in. Beanie gets a shutdown onto Photography Raptor, and with the Elder Dragon, Beanie is able to wipe the fight with Napquan, and that is going to be the Baron. That is going to be almost an ace. What will Wooper do with this team fight win? Pause. That's what's going to happen.
That is the most anticlimactic moment right there. But as we're going into this pause, it's so important to understand the game state. Baron buff coming online. Some of the Elder Drake should be left over just a few seconds. And they have a wave in the top lane kind of pushing in. Mid lane, I can't see too well off of the minimap, but they have some lanes to work with 40-second death timers, 30-second death timers for 4 members of NSG. They can start this siege up and get a lot done during this time.
All right. So I've heard from production that this might be a bit of a longer pause. So we're gonna throw it back to cameras. We're gonna have a little chit chat before we throw it to break. Yeah, just getting some word from my production. Looks like we're not going to go to cameras. You guys don't get to see our lovely faces. We're going to go to a quick break while we resolve this situation, but we will be back as soon as possible. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift. It's been a while since we've seen you guys, but it's great to finally see you again. While we were gone, Wooper finished up cleaning the team fight. They picked up the Baron Nashor, and they decided to start sieging Napquan and Ishan on the mid lane, getting the mid inner, and on the top lane, Beanie getting that top inner.
Yeah, really decisive fight, and now turning around to getting the siege going, just kind of pressing their luck, or pressing their advantages forward, sitting at an 8K gold lead, and it really becomes the point now of kind of, well, what do we do now? Because we're not winning the team fights. All of our lanes are kind of pushing in. We have the soul, which we saw, man, they can do a lot of damage from the side of NSG in these team fights, but every time Wooper is just finding that little bit extra that they need, especially with that Elder Drake buff that's now worn off. So it'll be a question of how they kind of use this gold lead and how they continue to push their advantages on the map with no major objectives up except for in the next 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Now that the Elder, is long gone and the Baron is sort of only the real, buff that the side of Wooper have, it's gonna come down to map rotations and macro to see if they can accelerate this sort of gold swing that they've gained and turn it from a gold swing into a exploded nexus.
Yeah, and this is the point where I would really like to see Wooper playing on 2 lanes, and really kind of playing this siege game and making them have to choose between the mid and bot side of the map once that wave kind of gets ushered in. But instead, they may just play a little bit of sneaky sneak. The lantern does catch them out, though,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
a little bit of gaming did happen, but unfortunately, neither team was ready to sort of commit to a full fight. We see Elder coming up in, I believe, a minute 20 seconds or so. So this should be where the game explodes. I've been talking about, potentially like game-winning fights, but due to circumstances, one way or another, game's still going on. But you have to imagine that this Elder will do wonders for bringing one team closer to a victory.
No, absolutely, and they say like the Elder Drake was there to kind of end games and be that decisive piece, and we saw how much it can do, but it doesn't make up for bad macro decisions if you don't have waves in place to
Oh.
kind of set this up.
All of Wooper going for the bush. She's spotted out with the far side alteration, but they're still looking for the play. Ishan speeding himself up, maybe looking onto the Hecarim, but Hecarim is still a very happy, fast horse, and he was able to trot his way out of danger. Dragon coming up very soon. Wooper still has the main bit of control in the river, but the wave isn't fully shoved. Napquan actually the one shoving mid wave out, while the rest of Wooper just try and hold on to whatever prio they have. We see the side of NSG Amethyst looking to choose the bot lane river entrance as their way in. We see the recall coming out from Napquan, potentially looking for the TP, decides against it though. Wooper posted up in these 2 bushes, looking to just try and get a clean team fight win. And here we are, the standoff. Altro, the lone man forward for Wooper as Beanie starts up the Elder Dragon. The gambit has been played. Elder aggroes onto the side of Wooper before turning back, flying all the way over to the side of NSG, and then resets. Just did a little bit of a meet and greet in this team fight, but Wooper is going to start DPSing it. Altro looking to zone. Could this be the game-winning fight? We see the Dark Binding onto the Malphite. That's not going to be a pick. Beanie goes in, has the E. Will he get bursted? Yes, he will. Photography Raptor gets the first kill, and NSG Amethyst are looking to open this fight up. Beepots does survive for a little longer. The curtain call stopped, but that is a Malphite. That is the Hecarim. Beepots will be taken out on the other side of the fight. A 3-for-1 on the side of NSG Amethyst. An absolute disaster striking for Wooper.
Yeah, this will be a hard one to come back for. The good news for Wooper is that the lanes are kind of shoved out right now. The only lane they can play on is the bot lane, where Nap is gone and kind of cleared that up to get the push back. So not a whole lot they can do other than kind of fix these waves. But now they have the Elder buff. They're already doing tons of damage, and now we're looking at being an execute range from one combo from either the carries of NSG. So now it's going to become a question of how defensively can we play and how can we stem the bleeding at nearly 40 minutes into this game.
Yeah, definitely. Wooper going to be looking to play wave clear while this Elder Dragon buff goes. Thankfully for Wooper, There is no Baron that is on the side of NSG that can sort of force a siege situation, although it's coming up soon. There will be a point in time if Wooper decides to give this Baron up, there will be a situation where the Elder and the Baron are alive at the same time, and that is really the danger zone this game. You know, with the Morgana, with the center range, it's possible for Wooper to siege against NSG Amethyst. Still kind of scary, as the laser almost takes that Ultra by itself. That has to be some sort of deterrent. Beanie maybe hovering, maybe looking for a miracle steal. He did it one game. Can he do it in another? TP from L Dragon. NSG Amethyst looking to start this Baron up. Can Beanie make the miracle happen? He's not seen yet. Now spotted out. Assume on the ward. Yes. Will he be able to go? He's seen. Goes for the ultimate. It might be too early though. Will the smite come down? No. Beanie goes down. Presses the kill button a little too early. It was never even in smite range, and this looks like curtains for this side of Wooper. It looked so doable for them. It looks like they could have ended the series, but that's one poor decision at the second Elder Drake, and suddenly NSGA is on a death march into Wooper's base.
Yeah, and that is the downside of the hero play, is sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But again, we're just seeing how much poke and how much just range that NSG has here. They can't even step up to even try to clear the wave. This is an inhib down as well as the tower, and they're going to start working on the Nexus here soon.
Yeah, with Beanie, the main carry, dead, NSG pretty much just have to walk in, although look at B-Pods on this fight. That's actually a shutdown. Are they going to fight through Elder? That's another kill picked up on the side of Wooper, and B-Pods is gaming, looking forward with Napquan. Then the teleports in the bot lane. They're looking to end it right here. The setup with the TP. Could have this been the giant brain play? Napquan and B-Pots marching into the inhibitors as Ishan and Ultra are going to try and stop this Jhin and this Hecarim from being able to defend. But do they have enough shove? These death timers, they aren't as long as maybe Wooper would have hoped. That is going to be the inhibitor at least going down, but the Hecarim and the Jhin are here. Could NSGA look to fight? Are his B-Pots and Napquan and the rest of Wooper going to force the end? It looks like they're going to. B-Pots auto-attacking the tower from range. Looks like Nightmare Hall is rooted up, but he's not going to go down. Beanie is alive. Beanie is a Guardian Angel. That is one Nexus turret down, but the Baron waves are ravaging the minions of Wooper. Can they do it? These death timers are coming up. The Thresh is up. Curtain Call popped. A second Nexus turret is going to go down soon, but that is the hook onto B-Pots, and B-Pots goes down. NSG Amethyst looking for the fight. It's back and forth. The Yone ult, will it be enough? Photography Raptor goes down. Beanie in the GA. Does he have the support of his team? The Thresh hook misses, but Beanie still goes down. It is 4 alive on the side of NSG Amethyst, 3 on the side of Wooper. Nobody is winning this game. It is back and forth fighting as Wooper is on the retreat. They are running for their lives as NSG Amethyst. Maybe, are they going to look to try and end the game? We see Rendleman trying to shove mid with Nightmare Hall. When will this game end? It's back and forth like a pendulum. And we see the Baron is still alive on this Hecarim. This Hecarim didn't go down this entire time. Recalls come through. Rendleman and Nightmare Hall decide against going for the end, instead looking to pick up the gold in that top lane inner turret. Regdor, thoughts, comments, concerns? What is going on?
That 15-minute pause apparently swung the momentum 16 different ways, and now we see just
we see the
very
fight. I'm
different
back,
time.
baby. We see the Lantern blast cone away. I thought that might have been a play, but a good blast cone saves Nightmare Hall and Sad Lantern. I am sorry to cut you off there, Regdor. Please continue.
Daydream is living the dream right now, everybody. This is high-speed game of League of Legends. Just wonderful plays from both sides. We see him pressing the advantage in mid, but they're thwarted in the double TP bot side and looking for the end. I mean, Beanie's playing like a madman on every one of these plays, and that's all he can kind of do at this point on this Yone is just go for broke. As we see
the ultimate forces the flash out of Photography Raptor. That is Yone ult down. That's a big cooldown, but this Jhin is flashless. If anyone is able to get onto this Jhin, he is very immobile, he is very squishy. We see the Elder Dragon go forward. Sad Lantern takes the hook, but gets bound up. Dragon does have the unstoppable force, definitely looking for that play. Maybe with the blast cone in this choke, the side of Wooper can look for something to root down onto the Malphite. We can see Beanie is posturing to make the hero play. Time and time again, Beanie has been what Wooper has lived and died by. And with this, has to be the final fight, right? I keep saying that, but I keep jinxing it. The Elder Dragon is up in 7 seconds. Beanie looks in for the Q3, doesn't hit anyone, goes back. Beepots gets some damage down with the Senna poke. The Senna has a bunch of souls. The Senna has a bunch of range. The Senna does a bunch of damage. Speaking of damage, there's damage being done to Wooper's base. They're forcing the fight. Will there be a recall? El Dragon gets the ultimate to cancel the recall. How will this fight be going? Nightmare Hall goes down first. It looks like Wooper is winning the fight, but will their base be safe? The game hasn't ended yet, and Wooper, all they can do is fight. They kill Rendleman. Photography Raptor is alive. He has flashes with the TP from El Dragon. El Dragon trying to end the game. This Malphite is very tanky, but doesn't deal a lot of damage. Can't Beepot deal the DPS. This Rock is whacking the Nexus, and will it be enough? And that is the Nexus. That is the Nexus going down. Oh, my voice hurts so much. But that is going to be the game. NSG Amethyst. They shoved mid-wave before the fight started, and that is what ended the game. El Dragon with a crucial TP to the Nexus, going bonk, bonk, bonk while Beepots was shooting her. That was a banger. I don't have any more words. Regdor, please say something. I'm in pain.
We have another game. There's another game after this. What we just saw an end that didn't end and turn into a backdoor that didn't win the backdoor that turned into another backdoor that did backdoor.
Let's look at these damage charts. That's some damage.
Now
that is a lot of damage.
That game might have been emotional damage. But gosh, the Victor continuing to pop off. We're just seeing Rendleman just having these crazy damage on the Corki, on the Victor, enabling a lot of this game. And dear God, I've never seen such team fighting so far. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but nonetheless, this has just been a banger game with two teams that initially we thought NSG would have sort of just this game on lock. It would be an easy 2-0 series, as some people had said, but we're going into game 3 in what I would consider game 1 was a game that Wooper came back from behind, and game 2 was such a coin flip that it's hard to say that NSG won off of great macro skills, but they won, and that's important to state.
If only someone on Wooper pushed out mid-wave, this game could have gone very, very differently, but NSG Amethyst, at the end of the day, in clutch moments like this, when it's 50 minutes, these players are dealing with fatigue. It is 10:25 in the evening. They are tired. But at the end of the day, whoever is able to get that little bit of an edge is going to win this game. They have a whole nother game to play on Summoner's Rift. It's going to be a full reset for them, and I am beyond excited to see how both teams respond for game 3. We're going to send it to a break. I'm going to get some water. We'll see you guys soon. Welcome back. I've emotionally recovered a little. I've gotten some water, and I am ready for game 3 of this absolute banger of a series between Wooper and NSG Amethyst. Regdor, how are you doing?
I had a snack. My phone said it was time to get ready for bed, but instead I'm going to stay up because we just have this amazing series. NSG going into game 3, selecting red side. This changes up everything we've known thus far. They're electing to get the counter pick, but they're going to give something up in return for it. So I wonder how these bans are going to kind of change to accommodate for that, or if they feel like the tried and true method is just going to continue on.
Does Beanie lock the Yone again? I'm going to go with no, but it would be really, really funny if he did. Because that Yone was popping off. That was some Yone gaming. I mean, granted, he was also like absolutely sprinting it at times, right? But at this point, this Wooper team is just living by Beanie, dying by Beanie. Just not a sentence I thought I would ever say, but
as a bald man, I can tell you that beanies are very important to me. So I can see how a team could live and die by it. And, NSG, again, has to ban the Viego out of respect. I think if Wooper just slows down a little bit, they're just running it back with the Senna. I was going to say. if they choose Jin and something on R1, R2, like
I'm gonna
I'm
cry.
gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry.
One
Like-
notable deviation from last game's draft is Wooper, instead of banning the Lee Sin from Nightmare Hall, banned this Victor from Rendleman. If we've shown the damage graphs from both games now, and Rendleman has been doing the most damage by a massive margin. Rendleman on this, that's a Twitch.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, that's not Jin. I'll give them that.
And
Game
Jin is not
3.
Rat.
Game 3, they're locking in the Twitch. I was talking about Rendleman and Victor. He's probably going to pick another control mate that does enough damage. I want to talk about this Rat. Where is this Rat going?
We did cast the game last week where we did see Pony on the Twitch. So we've seen ADC Twitch, but we haven't seen Twitch mid.
That's where
We
it's
haven't seen
expected.
Twitch jungle.
I want to see a Twitch. I want to see a Twitch mid. I don't think it's going to be Twitch mid. I don't think it's going to be Twitch jungle. I think this is Photography Raptor saying, I'm going to ego you with Twitch, because Jin and Twitch have different levels of agency. As in, Twitch can 1v9, flank from Brazil, and Twitch, Jin rather is he has to reload. He's not doing too well. So I appreciate the pivot away from the Jin. I feel like it wasn't doing as much as you would have hoped for. We see the Janna locked in on the side of Wooper. That champion's broken, by the way. I am fully convinced.
We got
fully
Graves.
convinced.
We got Graves.
Where's
Graves
this
is
Graves
the-
going? Where's this Graves going? Tell me where this Graves is going, Vector.
I don't know, and that's,
That's
why
what
I
I'm
love
saying.
it. Graves
No
was
idea.
banned. Graves was universally banned in VAS last week. No picks, only bans, never allowed to play. And now we get to see him. He can work top, he can work mid, he can work jungle. He is, he's like a colleague. He's got a job. So it's just kind of a question. And we see the Zen Zhao come out. Picking in the first 3, we've seen jungle going a lot later in this series, but we're already seeing these adaptations. They're running on fumes, like you talked about. 15-minute banger of a game. Mundo banned out. You're do or die. You got to kind of have to let out all the stops. And we're starting to see just these adaptations of picks. Because like you said, Janna, super broken right now. Super great. Very impressive in lane. And does a good job with well-placed tornadoes to just keep anybody and everybody off of this Senna. As long as that Senna by Beepots doesn't walk face first into a Jin, then, you're doing good.
That kind of hits a little too close to home. We see the Mundo and the Malphite band, both teams getting rid of these bulky boys here for the top laners. Definitely it makes sense. In game 1, Napquan on the Mundo was able to create so much space in these front-to-back scenarios, and in game 2, Eldragon on the Malphite was able to get that ult to stop one of the recalls. I thought I was going to talk about the TP to end, but really you just do that on any top laner. It was really more of the amount of damage that Eldragon he could soak up, on that Malphite, to then set up a play where you TP and you go bonk 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 on the Nexus.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those defensive stats that she had, if you put almost any other champion on that team, bonk 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 in the Nexus, Beepot kills them. But Beepots couldn't kill the Malphite, could not kill the Rock. So now as we enter the second stage of draft, we're still looking to solidify what these teams actually look like. I would love to see with some of these bulky champions being taken off of the list. Yeah, there's another control mage.
Malzahar. That's another control mage, but Malzahar, in contrast to Corki and Victor, isn't known as a DPS mage. You think Corki, you think Victor, you think Corki, you think Package, right? But Package is also a lot of DPS. You think Malzahar, you think Nethergrass. You think that instant lockdown onto a target. That's not saying Malzahar doesn't deal damage, because he does. He deals a lot of damage. It makes me very sad when I'm playing against a Malzahar. But Malzahar and Rendleman on this Malzahar is going to have to take a much different role in the team than he had previously, pulling the trigger a little more, using that Nethergrass on someone when they're caught out, which is, how NSG was winning fights. They were catching out Beanie, they were sometimes catching out other members of the team. Wooper on the other side going back to the Syndra as the counter pick into Malzahar. Wooper did win game 1. There's no nice way to say it. I wasn't really impressed with the Syndra performance in Game 1. I thought it was a lot on the back of this Viego. I mean, it's definitely good. I think Syndra as a pick is fairly strong at her area control. I mean, I'm not going to say she's turbo broken, but Ishan definitely going to have to step it up this game. And we see the Mordekaiser locked in for L Dragon as the counter to Napquan Shen. Now, Mordekaiser, generally known as like a pretty good Shen counter. You know, if you want to stop Shen from ulting, you know, before a fight starts, just put him in the death realm. He can't ult anyone. Also in lane, Mordekaiser with that passive, you know, the swirling metal that goes, you know, all of that makes it really hard for Shen to sort of survive. You know, Mordekaiser not an auto attack reliant champion, so the Shen W is virtually useless. And that is the power of this R5 pick that NSG Amethyst have chosen to crush on, you know, in this crucial game 3.
Yeah, and I think now when we look at these as a whole comp, you have, again, just these interesting pieces. To your point earlier about Syndra. Syndra's so strong on 2 items, but she has to get there. She has to get to the point where she can full combo and take out a Twitch, take out a Malzahar. And sadly, Ishan was not able to get there until much later in Game 1 because he was just getting so much jungle proximity. And now, again, you're looking at Malzahar, Zenzao. While it doesn't seem like the strongest, that silence alone can set up Zenzao for a lot of good potential ganks in the early game. And like you said, top lane is not going to be a walk in the park. So Nightmare continuing to be proactive in the early game is setting up these lanes for success. With the bot side being kind of on an island, they played these 2v2s really hard, and we're really the ones rotating to the junglers as opposed to the junglers coming to gank them. And it's really going to be if they can make their way through that early game for the side of Wooper, cleaner than Game 1 and continuing to find maybe a little bit more acceleration than what they had in Game 2, then they're in a good spot. But we're seeing third game of Senna and second game of Syndra, and both those things, I mean, NSG is starting to find and hone in on what these weaknesses are in the comp and what the weaknesses are in the side of Wooper, and continuing to just hammer away at it. So we're going to have to see how that works out in Game 3.
Yeah, 100% agree, as we are going to get into games soon. I will be throwing it to a break, you know, and the next time me and Victoris see you, we'll be on Summoner's Rift for the last time tonight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately for the final time tonight, as we are here on Summoner's Rift, Wooper versus NSG Amethyst. To call this series a hard-fought series would be an understatement, but we are here and we are hyped. Regdor, are you hyped?
I'm absolutely hyped, especially for the raid of 23 people coming over from Victoris GG. You guys may have not been here for the blood, sweat, and carnage that was Game 1 and Game 2 with Woopers and NSG, but you're here now, and that's all that matters. And it's really a question of endurance. You know, who's got the drive? Who's got the power? Who's staying hungry? Because this has been just the story of the ages. Huh?
I can't believe you managed to pull that one off. I am impressed. But a few things I want to point out. Ishan took Airy Game 1 on Syndra. I didn't like that. But now he has Electrocute, which I like a lot more. We still have this triple teleport comp for Wooper, which honestly, Game 1 didn't have much use. Game 2, they had that really nice Senna teleport that, you know, was able to unlock the inhibitor and, you know, almost would have unlocked the game, you know, if a few things had gone differently. On the other side, we have Cleanse for Twitch. I guess that's for, yeah, Senna roots. There's a lot of scattered CC. If this Twitch gets locked up, wants, you know, to be able to survive that with a really good mantra Q from Sad Lantern. This time, NSG Amethyst are the ones with the Karma. Both previous games, Wooper had picked it up, but now we can see what Sad Lantern, off of a sort of hook champ playmaker on this more traditional Enchanter, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, they're going to have the push early, and especially with Twitch, who has so much damage. Level 2, once he gets the WE, and oof, that right there is why you take Electrocute on the Syndra. Ishan already getting that really good trade on the Mals. But overall, you're going to see like this early push from the side of NSG in this bot lane. Senna is somebody who does not deal well with these waves getting stacked up against her. So they can just do this good job with Sad Lantern, just kind of poking away at them with these Qs and just pushing them off the wave so that Raptor can stack up and then just shove it in. And Bpots misses so much off of it.
Yeah, already over a whole wave of CS for Photography Raptor onto Bpots. It's doesn't feel as bad for Senna because when you miss a farm, you are in fact getting a higher chance of dropping a soul, and we see that Ultra doesn't really care about like accidentally taking minions with these tornadoes because of that fact. But even still, Senna still needs gold, especially if you are going farming Senna without the support item, and letting this Twitch free scale into Senna might become a dangerous situation.
Yeah, exactly like you said in draft. Twitch can 1v9 the game once he has 2 to 3 items. He comes online and just has this ability to just do massive damage, especially if they line up for the rat-a-tat-tat. But we do see Nightmare already down the bot lane, trying to make maybe this a nightmare for the side of Woofers.
Ultra walks in and going to have to flash the E onto Ultra, and that's just going to be a kill. Picked up by Photography Raptor. Ultra just stepping way too far forward. I mean, they had no vision. I guess they didn't read that Xin Zhao probably started, in a different way to path towards that bot side, but that's already a kill on the Twitch. I talked about how a champion like Twitch can 1v9 with all of the stealth that he has in his kit, all of the attack speed steroids, and if he gets early kills, that just becomes even more accelerated. Speedpots does dodge the inner flame, but is still in a pretty scary spot. Walks up again. Sad Lantern misses the Q again, but Bpots is really, really going far forward for this farm. One wrong move, if you're alone like that into Karma Twitch, you are going to die and you are going to give more gold over to the side of Photography Raptor. I feel like this entire series, Bpots and Ultra have been ranging from holding on against Sad Lantern and Photography Raptor to getting rolled. And, in a game that is, a series that's been as close as this, like, that is something that if you're NSGA, you're going to want to exploit, and if you're Wooper, you are going to want to try and mitigate as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. NSG has done so well in the early game in this bot lane, either like you said, being ahead or holding on and keeping it even. And then we move into the mid game. People like Grendelman has been like that carry, top of the damage.
Oh, we see the fight. Beanie was trying to solo the dragon. Does he have the smite? He doesn't. He gets executed though. Where will the dragon go? Secured by Bpots. That is going to be the Drake. Forces the flash out of Grendelman, but it looks like the 3 of them might be outnumbered. Nightmare Hall picks up the first kill onto Ishan. Ultra the next target, but Xin Zhao cannot reach him with the spear. The E and the W is going to be enough. The tornado buys a little bit of space. Ultra is going to be able to walk out. That is a kill traded for the Drake because Beanie was able to get that execute off. No gold was given over to NSGA. This is the first time Wooper has gotten a dragon before 20 minutes this entire series.
And all it cost was the low price of Beanie losing his life to the Drake. That's not usually something you want to see caught in 4K. Feels bad. But at the end of the day, yeah, that is an early game objective. That is a change for the side of Wooper, like you talked about. And it's really, hopefully, not the signs of things to come. Maybe manage our health a little bit better. Graves does need a little bit of time to get into the game and kind of scale up. Now sitting on that Noon Quiver. But yeah, earlier we're already seeing some of that bot lane domination. Having control of the wave and having it kind of pushed in towards their side closes off that river. And we saw as soon as Altro tried to make a play towards it to get some vision, he ended up dying because of it. And that's going to be important as we go along because the longer they have control of that river, the easier it is for one Rat Boy to move up the river and start making plays outside of the lane.
Yes, that one Rat Boy Twitch already has the Noon Quiver and the pickaxe well on his way to becoming a Rat Man with you know, a lot of items, Twitch becomes so much more powerful. You know, getting one of the 2 kills, the other kill going to Nightmare Hall on the Xin Zhao, and that was a consolation prize that NSGA got from losing that dragon. And I want to see if they can use the gold infusion that they were so generously gifted to sort of snowball the lead to the point where this dragon wouldn't even end up mattering.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what we want out of Xin Zhao now. With this nice little gold lead, already has a Kindle Gem and the Iron Spike Whip. You know, he can kind of just gank on repeat wherever he wants. Flash still not up on the Senna in the bot lane. Got some time there. You can blow the flash from Ishon in the mid lane. There's so many choices you can do, especially with somebody like Malzahar who doesn't really care too much. He's just going to auto push lanes and just kind of have that ability to keep the push. And so he can kind of let the wave kind of come in and push Ishon into a position where it can work out. But right now, we do see him hanging out in the river. Well, Beanie's stealing the blue.
Yeah, Beanie going for a bit of a cheeky invade here. Although he is spotted by Nightmare Hall. Where will the smite go? Secured by Nightmare Hall on the Xin Zhao. Beanie just doing a friend a favor, giving that Xin Zhao a leash, but all seriousness, you know, Beanie definitely still is even in farm. That blue buff steal would have put him in a much better spot though to sort of activate that grave scaling that, you know, many squishy champions fear.
And Graves, you know, does have all of that grit that he builds up and gets that natural armor from that. So he can kind of opt more into the damage side, which he's going to need from this team if we're really going to get some early game carry out of him. As we know, Senna's continue to take longer to get online and actually be able to pump out this damage that we've seen from B-Pots in the late game. But it's going to be matched by, I don't even know what the right name for it is. I always call it Space Aids from Mouse. He can do a lot of damage with it. He hurts people.
I believe it's Malefic Visions. We see Nightmare Hall just chilling in the bot river bush, allowing the bot lane of NSG Amethyst to get these trades onto the side of Wooper. And, you know, Beanie is trying his best this time on the Graves, a more conventional jungle champion than Yone, I would say, but his game plan is still relatively the same. It's just try and farm up and try and be an absolute menace in these late game fights. I'll have to see if he's going to be the hero that he was for part of game 2 or a bit of a zero that he ended up becoming when he got caught out. You know, this Graves is going to be a big focal point of this comp, and it's going to be up to him to sort of secure Wooper's success.
Yeah, absolutely. You've said it well. Wooper lives and dies by the Beanie, and Beanie right now just a step behind. It feels like on everything that you can think of from the jungle position. While he may be even in farm, he has one death to his name, and that was to the Drake, where Xin Zhao here has a little bit more proximity with his laners and really setting up this game for NSGA.
Yeah, Beanie tried to solo the Rift Herald, was pushed off by Rendelman, and after seeing that play happen, suddenly NSGA says, oh, this is a free dragon. Beanie going back onto the Rift Herald with L Dragon, she is here to, you know, come stop Beanie, and Beanie has now, like, he went, tried the Rift Herald, couldn't get it, took like one camp, and then went back for the Rift Herald, but he has to walk away again. Now all of NSG Amethyst is going to be able to take this Rift Herald, and it's like Beanie is just leashing camps and objectives for Nightmare Hall.
Absolutely, and this is what happens when you lose that tempo as a jungler and you're now behind, is you just constantly are going to be able to take whatever's given to you. You can't really make anything decisive. As he goes to even try this trade onto Sad Lantern, just not much he can get done as a poor Graves with just a Noon Quiver. He's just got some bow and arrows to his name right now. So he's going to need help from his laners once they help them get priority, which allows him to turn around and get to hold on to some of this ideal property in terms of these jungle quadrants. But until that happens, he's just a man without a home.
Yeah, as we watch as this entire series, the observer cam just pans over to these lanes that are just trading back and forth and back and forth. These players constantly butting heads in lane, especially in that mid lane and that bot lane. I know in the bot lane it has been mostly NSG favored, but at the end of the day, like if Bpots has this download, this is his third Senna game of the night. Definitely warmed up on the champion at the very minimum. But we'll have to see how he performs as Malzahar summons a Rift Herald in the mid lane, looking to get some solo plates for himself. Ishan clears the wave, but the Rift Herald does pick up those first 3 plates, and that is a bit of gold that's going to accelerate Malzahar to his mythic. Ishan does have a bit of a CS lead, sort of the counterpoint to Photography Raptor's early advantages. Ishan has been consistently, getting like minute CS leads, but sometimes when you have the right back timings, that gold is going to matter.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, Malzahar is sitting on a big back with picking up those plates. And, another 2 minutes until the next objective spawns the map with this Windrake or Cloud Drake. And it comes to question with this kind of quiet early game, like we saw in game 2, is where the lead's going to be generated from. Both teams sitting at 1 Drake and the Rift Herald going over the side of NSG. But just a slight gold lead overall. So it's really going to be interesting to see if and when the Xin Zhao and Nightmare choose to strike and create some sort of decisive win to one lane or another.
Yeah, we see Nightmare Hall actually, now the one invading, going to be spotted out by Beanie and Ishan. Xin Zhao ult is done. There's no sun coming through. Senna ult looking to try and save Ishan, and he gets hacked up by the Nethergrass. But Ultra is here, very fast Janna with numbers. Bpots though on the other side tried to move, but he was actually caught out by Photography Raptor and Sad Lantern. Ishan does pick up the double kill. It is a 2v3, but this Twitch is currently untouched. Teleport coming in from L Dragon. Will that go through? Yes, it does. Triple kill for Ishan, however. That is a lot of gold going into the pocket of Wooper. The stun, will it be enough to save Ishan? Trying to step back and forth, but at that point, you're just doing a dance with death as the side of Wooper gets some gold back on the map. It's a lot of gold onto Ishan. That's very good. I think Napcon, what happened was tried to use the channels, I believe, onto Bpots or someone else in that fight and was cancelled by L Dragon. And once that channel is canceled, she decided to use her own TP to influence the fight and secure that shutdown onto Ishan.
Yeah, so the Stand United actually went on to Ishan in the middle of the Janna ult, which gave him enough shield to be able to pick up that double kill. But yeah, like you said, it does get canceled by L Dragon. But overall, I think, kind of a net neutral. Now 2K gold lead on the side of NSG, but a lot of money put into Ishan's pockets. And like we were talking about in draft, now with a better rune set and the term of Electrocute on 2 items, Syndra is going to be able to one-shot a lot of these champions until they get some more defensive options, especially in the terms of Twitch and maybe even Malzahar. But with all that said, again, still a little bit of like 2K gold lead to the side of NSG. Drake is up in 5 seconds, and we're going to have to see with all of these mythics coming through who's going to have the first move.
Yeah, we see the dragon, this time a cloud dragon as opposed to the other 2 Infernals. We see the fight, the center route onto Photography Raptor means that's a shutdown picked up for Ishan, his 4th kill of the game. And Photography Raptor just stepped too far up. Bpots with the sick route to secure the kill, and that's going to be the dragon secured for Wooper.
Yeah, and we're seeing how capable the Syndra is when she has a chance to get that full combo down. I've watched Ishan a number of times on his stream playing in solo queue, and just the way he plays Syndra, he just always is looking for these aggressive trades, knows the patterns and which he can CS and throw and shove these lanes and do all these things. He understands the champ well. So I'd like to think that game 1 was a little bit more nerves than anything, but now showing what this mid lane power pick can do and why it always finds itself back into the meta and team play.
Yeah, Photography Raptor 2 on this Twitch doesn't have a defensive summoner that's expressly good at countering Syndra. Yes, his cleanse is important and probably necessary. I mean, we saw he is getting tagged up by the CC, but say in a scenario where he gets poked out by Bpots or takes a Graves Q or a Syndra Q, and unleash power to the dome is going to flatten this rat. And you know, maybe like Photography Raptor can maybe think about teching in a wit's end. So you see the first turret actually goes down on the bot lane. Photography Raptor and Sad Lantern pick it up, but B-Pots and Ultra want revenge. The Senna ult, the Dawning Shadow is going to come through. The Janna ult wasn't enough though. Photography Raptor actually does get the kill onto B-Pots and going to be 2 for 1 in the bot lane. Meanwhile, on the top side, Beanie and this Rift Herald. Beanie actually just goes down, and the Rift Herald is given over. Both sides of the map winning for NSG Amethyst.
Yeah, second Rift Herald of the game going to the side of NSG. Going to be able to continue to spread out. Now a 3k gold lead. I would say the bot lane looked well. It just a little bit of a misplaced Janna ult. Used to try to displace the enemy bot lane, but sadly Senna got none of the heal from it, which could have changed the fight around just a little bit. Not saying it's game changing, but was just a little bit. Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, listen, I don't want to make Ultra feel too bad. I kind of flamed him in game 1. So, nonetheless, 3k gold lead. And at this point, you know, just got to find a way to get Shen unlocked. He has not been able to make any plays. One of the reasons that we like Shen right now is because he does have that Stand United that was basically, you know, the Unleashed Teleport without being Unleashed Teleport to make these early game cross-map plays. But so far, L Dragon has had a vice grip on the top side of the map and not allowed him any room to make a move.
Yeah, 100% this Mordekaiser into this Shen matchup, known for being very Mordekaiser favored, as I touched on in Champ Select. And we can see L Dragon, she's about to just take the top outer turret just by herself. We see Ishan though looking for the pick, gets the stun onto Sad Lantern, forces the flash. The Unleashed power is not going to be enough as the Shirley is popped on the top side. L Dragon does finish that tower. The flash ulti, Nap Quan is in the Death Realm, and Nap Quan does not have any recourse. The Q does miss. Can he get the E away? The pull actually is not enough range. Nap Quan with some fancy footwork is able to get himself out as the play fizzles out in the bot side as well. No kills will be traded over to either side, but both teams still constantly looking to trade blows.
Yeah, this is such a scrappy fight. We have not seen any decisive team fights coming up here on the 20-minute mark. For once, Woopers has the advantages in Drakes. Only a minute 30 until this Cloud Drake comes up and will be sole point for Wooper. And this is just a little bit of a flip. And maybe part of that is, as some people talk about, blue side has a little bit of an easier time getting to the Drake, where as red side has to kind of walk directly into the river to be able to get any access to it. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's Wooper finally playing towards the early game for it. But either way, we're coming up on Soul Point. We'll have to see who makes the decisive move.
Yeah, if Wooper does collect this Drake, they will be on Soul Point. Again, like, it is Cloud Soul, you know? Wooper definitely not happy, as Beanie is not happy to find Nightmare Hall on the Xin Zhao. The knockup is through. Can Beanie get out? The Graves ult does push him back, and it looks like he will survive, but needed the Shen ult there as well, and suddenly Wooper is pushed out of their own jungle. NSG Amethyst should be able to pick up this dragon very easily. We see, though, Wooper is actually looking for round 2. Beanie walking very far forward. Will he get picked off again? We see the root, though, on to Rendleman's Malzahar, but the ult comes through. Beanie walked too far forward, and now Beanie is dead. Ishan is here, though. He walks into the Mordekaiser and the Xin Zhao, has to flash over the wall. Nightmare Hall answers with the flash. Is this going to be the shutdown? Picked up the electrocute proc. It's not going to be enough. That is the shutdown. Ishan goes down, and 2 kills donated, as well as the dragon. Wooper is walking into NSG Amethyst, and they are being punished for it.
Yes, they are being punished. A lot of short range right now from the side of Wooper, and they're continuing to put themselves on the spot where they can just be taken advantage of. This Malzahar's Nether Grip has just eliminated people from being able to play the game. It's such an unfun ability to go against. But nonetheless, that's where you have to play your range, and Wooper right now are not playing to that fact and have to concede the Drake, and now looking like they might have to concede this Baron as well.
Yeah, we'll see if Beanie can make another miracle still happen. No, looks like they're looking for the fight as B-Pots has taken out the Twitch already. The Smite goes down. Nightmare Hall looking to pick up that Baron, but looks like Wooper has control of the fight. That's 3 kills already. and this Karma and this Malzahar are running for the hills. The Baron was secured, and there are players on NSGA Amethyst with the Baron, saved for their next siege, but that's some signs of life of Looper, and signs of life is what this team is about, apparently, as even when they are down, even when they look like they are sort of slipping away, they are always able to find some sort of miracle to at least extend the game for a little bit.
Yeah, they continue to find these interesting angles. I have to say that Janna Tornado with the Glacial Augment created such a huge slow inside the Baron pit that I think set up a little bit of their ability to get in there and find this fight. Senna now sitting on 2.5 items, almost has the rapid fire cannon complete. That's a huge spike point for them with that added 150 range onto her attacks. So big point on the other side. Twitch having the Runaan's complete plus a BF sword, probably going into IE next, is going to be, he's reaching critical rat levels in these team fights. If he has the room to work with and space back, the rat-a-tat-tat will attack many people.
Yeah, but if he gets blown up at the start of the fight, doesn't matter how many items you have, you cannot use them if you are dead. Unless you have a redemption, but that's a whole nother issue in and of itself. His Twitch is going to need to position expertly in order to, make the most out of his high gold that he already has. We see the Scryer's Orb spotting out Nightmare Hall. Randleman trying to use this Baron to shove in the bot wave. It is this Malzahar and this Karma as the two members with the Baron, but currently only one wave of Baron minions is being pushed in as Eldragon. She is continuing to take the side lane 1v1 against Napquan in this favorable matchup. Beanie looking for the red buff. He does pick it up, but will he be able to get out? The Graves ult should be able to get him away. The Malzahar could have maybe looked for the Flash Nethergrass, decided against it without enough information, and Beanie is able to make out quick with that red buff.
Yeah, we've only seen this collateral damage used as a defensive thing so far to get Beanie out of trouble. And for the most part, Graves has been on the back foot. A champion that can be rather aggressive and picks up the QSS, which props to him.
Very, very
smart investment. Because he has to be the target for them. Not just because he's Graves, but I mean, because he's the jungler. Every time one of these objectives come up, we've seen thus far Malzahar getting the Nethergrass, burning down the jungler, and now it's a 4v5 with no smite. So incredible play from NSG, but great itemization from the side of Beanie to try to even out some of these issues.
Yeah, 100%. We see one QSS picked up on the side of Wooper, and that is Beanie, which makes sense. He is the one that has consistently been the closest to the Malzahar, whether that be through circumstances of team fight or through overextension. But touching on this ability to use the Graves ultimate as an escape tool, I mean, Beanie last game was super successful on this Yone in the fights where he could use that Yone E to reactivate and sort of as a get out of jail free card. He doesn't have that this game, but he's sort of clutching on this Grave ults to sort of fill that same role. And honestly, if it means he's not getting caught in fights, it probably is to the benefit of Wooper.
Yeah, no, a Graves that, or Beanie who can see color is better than a Beanie who cannot see color, 100%. And that's really going to kind of become the question as we move into this next Drake in 10 seconds. That's the sole point for either team. If Graves can expertly move along and use this collateral damage to his side.
Yeah, 100% as we see the dragon spawning. We see NSG Amethyst looking to burst this. Yeah, that's a free dragon. And what is Wooper doing? Nothing. They are sitting in their own jungle. They are waiting for a play to happen. But NSG Amethyst get the kill on the dragon for free, and don't get cross-mapped on the other side. There's no pressure on that top outer. There's no vision in the top camps for this Baron. It seems Wooper was sort of just caught unaware.
Yeah, it's just the thing of being too late. Again, not having the tempo in this matchup means that you don't get to get anywhere. and get anything accomplished ahead of time. And NSG has had the tempo for so long that Whooper's only been able to react to plays and come out on the top sometimes. And kind of the silent piece of all this that we've kind of touched on here and there is L Dragon. L Dragon has just been side lane farming, now up, nearly 20 something CS over Shen, and has just continued just to be a thorn in the side of Whooper because they can't get anything accomplished in side lane with this 1-3-1 style comp that they're kind of taking it as now, with Malzahar and Mordekaiser pushing out side lanes, continuing to generate pressure. So they have to respond to it. So they can't really capitalize on the other three members of NSG being in mid or making rotations around the map.
We see Whooper now. I mean, they had pushed the tempo. They pushed the tempo when they were going for that Baron, or that Baron fight at least. They didn't end up getting the Baron, but at least they were pushing the tempo, and it seems like Whooper as of now is actually going to keep pushing the tempo. They're looking for the pick onto Nightmare Hall. The Xin Zhao ultimate popped. He is going to be able to walk out. That is the TP from both side laners at that time, being Ishan and L Dragon. NSGA still has control over the river. That's a flash ultimate. Will this be the kill? It will. Ishan actually survives. No, with the Shen ult and the Janna ult, as a bunch of summoners, a bunch of ultimates burned. I thought Ishan was dead to rights, but the power of the Janna and Shen saved him, and that is a really, really big angle to survive, because if Ishan dies, that's Baron. I mean, NSGA still has control over this mid lane, over this river, but you're keeping your hopes of getting this Baron alive. NSGA not like able to walk over and force it because there are still enough healthy members on the side of Whooper that it would be a very ill-advised decision.
Yeah, that was some high intensity right there. Ends up with like you said, number summer spells and ultimates burn, but no kills. So we're just gonna have to reset and see how the next one goes. This Malzahar is like turbo farming everywhere he can go with his bees. To try to get onto these next items, has sitting on 2 items while Twitch is sitting on those 3. And similarly on the opposite side, we're waiting for Syndra to get next item done. Probably looking at hopefully maybe a Rabadon's. I like a nice Rabadon's. Either way, it is just really kind of wait for this next Drake in 2 minutes. You have to think, if you're the side of Whoopers, you want to get the push in bot and mid. You want to control this bottom side of the map and get vision control and get into the river. You can't sit on your hands in the jungle and wait for NSG to give you the dragon. You have to go and take it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. Whooper is, not exactly in the best position. They're down about 3k gold or so, give or take a couple hundred, and that isn't like an unbeatable gold lead. Bpot's walking onto Photography Raptor. I thought Bpot's was gonna go for broke, but does get a lot of damage onto this Twitch. What can Whooper do with this? I want to see Whooper do something with a positive trade and their push out of river. They are constantly just losing control of these areas, even more so than they were like games 1 and games 2. I feel like they weren't playing retake as much as they are this game, and with a comp like this, it's gonna be kind of hard to play into the threat of a Malzahar ult and play into the threat of this Mordekaiser ult, as Beanie is pulled back by this Mordekaiser E. Unfortunately for the side of L Dragon, they don't have the kill pressure to punish.
Yeah, now just under 30 seconds, and once again, NSG has control of the river. They have good deep wards set up.
Oh, is Ultro picked? Ultro greets for the ward, gets the Q, but he is dead. He has no QSS, and no, he's not dead. This Janna ult is saving people left and right, and let's see how the fight turns because of it. There's no Malzahar ult, no Xin Zhao ult. Can Whooper make a play? All of NSGA is collapsed in this choke. The Syndra E hits too, but there's no follow-up. NSGA looks like they're gonna walk out Whooper. Their health bars are hurting. They are barely surviving these plays. I mean, these plays, I think that, are so close to getting these picks, but enough damage is being done that NSGA is still regaining control, and that is all that matters for these objectives. This Dragon Soul is almost done, and can the side of Whooper come in and look for the steal? Beanie goes in. It's not going to be secured, but that is Cloud Soul. They're looking for the fight. That is a kill onto L Dragon. That is the first kill of the fight Nightmare Hall goes out of the stopwatch, out of the stasis. He will survive after flashing away. That is 1 kill. Can Whooper get control of the Baron? Can Whooper get more kills? Can they make a decision? Beanie looking to make that decision onto Sad Lantern, but there's not going to be enough damage. Now the rest of the team is here. Shen gets the taunt onto Xin Zhao. There's no ult, there's no stasis. That is the jungler dead. Will they be able to go to Baron? Will they shove? What decision will Whooper make to try and get back into this game?
Yeah, off the back of losing the soul, but finding the fight, they have to press the advantage. They need to make their way forward.
That's a
And
root.
go
That's
ahead.
a cleanse forced onto Photography Raptor for pretty much for free. Bpots doesn't burn his flash or anything else, and it looks like Whooper is going to choose Baron. Let us see how this fight goes. Xin Zhao, the longest death timer of them all, but does Whooper have enough damage to burst it down? This Kraken Slayer Senna is doing a lot of work. Twitch picking up the red, going to go into stealth soon. The Janna ult trying to keep Whooper healthy, but L Dragon is here. L Dragon's respawn. Whooper turns for the fight, but Ishan's picked off by the Twitch. This Twitch is free firing, dealing so much damage. Doesn't matter if he has no cleanse, as he's going to almost pick up Beanie, force the Shen ult out of Napquan, and that's another kill picked up for NSGA, and suddenly they have control of the river. They have control of this Baron, and they are going to look to burst it down. The Scryer's Bloom popped by. Napquan sees that the Baron is low, but what is Whooper going to do about it? The Baron is taken. Beanie goes for a Miracle Steal with the Braves ult, but it's not going to be there. The Shirelias is going to be used to escort NSGA out like thieves in the night. They took the Baron right under Whooper's noses, and it seems like Whooper is either unable or unwilling to do anything about it.
Yeah, and this is a decisive Baron as well, with all 5 members having the buff. And then you turn around and talk about this 1-3-1 style they've been playing with Malzahar and Mordekaiser on side lane. Nobody has been able to answer them in the 1v1. And now they have this, turbo push with the Baron buff. It's going to be so hard for Whooper to be able to defend from this play, given their current state or inaction in these plays thus far.
Yeah, Whooper definitely going to need to turn this one around. Otherwise, they are going to simply bleed out and lose the series. We'll have to see. Ishan might be getting picked off. Walks forward for the minion. Gets nether grassed. There is no QSS. Ishan will be picked off. The Senna ult isn't enough. L Dragon almost traded over, but that is just a pick from NSG Amethyst. They are playing this game a lot more cleanly than either team had played in game 1 or game 2, and I don't know if Whooper's able to respond to this level of pressure.
Yeah, NSG has really found their stride, and they're playing this comp exactly how it needs to, and just creating all these pressure points all over the map, catching people out in rotation, and now they can just siege up. There's not much that they can really do. They can push out the wave. They're just going to shove it right back into them, and they're continuing to bleed on the other side of the map, so with now L Dragon pushing in the mid lane.
Yeah, we see with this Baron going to allow NSGA to put Whooper in very uncomfortable situations. 4 members of Whooper strong trying to defend this bot inner, but as you said, L Dragon, she is just pushing the mid tower. The inner tower goes down, but it looks like 2v1. Bpots is in the death realm. Will he survive? That is a big fat no, as the Mordekaiser Mace looks to execute Bpots. And will L Dragon be able to go for the 1v2? The pull back onto Napquan. The stun is here. Good. Zanya blocks all of the damage from the unleashed power. L Dragon will be able to limp away with her life, but on the other side, that means that the rest of NSGA is able to take that inner turret. Whooper is bleeding gold. Beanie walks too far forward. Will he go down? The Nethergrass is there, and yes, Beanie will be confirmed dead by Photography Raptor with this Twitch. A good stun by Ishan stops the rest of the push, but that is still an inhib turret going down, and Whooper is just running out of options.
Yeah, they're running out of options. They're running out of ways to make this game move towards their favor. As we saw, L Dragon almost 2v1ing, probably 3v1ing maybe, in the mid lane. And because they have this tempo and the ability to play on 2 lanes, you're just going to lose out one way or another. I don't want to say that they've reached the point of no return, but they're losing so much of the ability to play back into this game. Maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's time. We had nearly a 50-minute game 2, followed by now 37 minutes into game 3. This has been tumultuous, to say the least. but now we're starting to see cracks in Wooper's ability of execution, whereas NSG seem to be finding their zone and just continuing to be more perfected.
Now Napquan might be the one overextended. Mordekaiser are going to look to maybe pull the E back. Napquan does get pulled in, the Nethergrass used as well, and he has no out, he has no escape. It's the second time now that Wooper players have been alone in the side lane without sufficient vision, without sufficient prep, and NSGA is pouncing.
Yeah, maybe many people don't talk about it, but Cloud Soul and Cloud Terrain, that movement buff that you get in those quadrants make it so much easier to rotate as well. So you don't get as much time as you think from somebody rotating mid to bot or bot to top. It's a little bit quicker, and we're starting to see how those timings can make a huge difference as the Elder Drake begins to spawn. And once again, NSG are in firm control of the river.
Oh, Elder Drake, how I've missed you so. We start another dance around the Elder Dragon. Napcon is going to have the channel on respawn, going to have the TP, but the Elder Dragon is just being burned. It's resetting though. The execute is not going to come through. Can Beanie go for this? Steal is not going to go through. He's over the wall, and it looks like Wooper just has to run. All of this damage comes through. The flash forward over the wall from Rendleman. He's not going to be able to get the kill. Another Raz goes down, but he's actually picked up. An uncharacteristic overextension, but on the other side, Photography Raptor with the poison uses the Elder to execute, and sneaky, the Venomous Cast goes down, doesn't get the slow. Photography Raptor was looking to put the nail in the coffin for the game right there with the kill, but the Elder Dragon is secured by NSG Amethyst, but this game is not over. They just aren't able to crest that last hill to secure a winning team fight.
No, but they have the Elder buff. They have 35 seconds until the Baron comes online. We are reaching almost critical mass with nearly 87 souls on VPOTs at the 40-minute mark, or near the 40-minute mark. So that's almost maxing out the attack range that they're going to get and start dipping into some of these other great treats that you get from these souls. But it doesn't matter if there's no fight to be had. They have to find a way to get Beepot some space for him and Ishan to actually get this work done. But so far, it's just been a train going straight at him.
Yeah, we see with its Elder, it's going to allow NSG Amethyst to secure the Baron. And while it kind of feels bad to use the Elder during a time period where you're not going to be fighting anyone, getting that Baron is just as important. We saw what Baron did to Wooper's base last time it was picked up by NSG Amethyst, and using the window of time when they are more stronger, or more relatively stronger because of the growing gold lead, and B, that small window they still have where they still have that Elder Dragon. Wooper is going to be on a lot of pressure to make something happen. Wait out the Elder and then maybe coin flip a fight when it's just Baron, but it's going to require supreme coordination, supreme teamwork, and a bit of an outplay. We see the ult coming through. This is the stopwatch pop, but Photography Raptor is able to deal so much damage from so far away. That's the Janna ult, that's the Shen ult. These are the tools that have been used consistently to save Wooper from getting picked, and suddenly with one Twitch ult, both of those are down. No one did go down on the side of Wooper. The Elder Dragon should be expiring soon. We see Beanie though taking a lot of damage. Will the fight come through? The inhibitor tower is going to go down. Nightmare Hall going in with the audacious charge. Pops the Xin Zhao ultimate. No one has gone down yet. The Janna Tornado creating a lot of space. NSGA is focusing the inhibitor, but that's the stun! That is the first kill, this time for Wooper onto Sad Lantern. Will they be able to chase forward? I don't think so. NSGA is walking away, but it is still one kill in trade for the whole mid lane inhibitor, and we saw what happened last time Super Waves were pushing down Wooper's base in a late game situation. Did not end well for them. So we'll see if they have learned from last game, if they have learned to manage their waves properly, and if they can manage their waves in a way that allows them to mount some miracle comeback.
Yeah, now the good news is that they only took the mid inhib. I am a huge proponent of not doing that, because once you take the mid inhib, you can only play on the top or bot lane. So playing on those two lanes that tempo that I keep talking about is kind of lost because you can't make that same rotation that you can between mid and bot or mid and top. So now they're just feeding these supers into the base unless they get a decisive fight. This is just free money getting stacked into the pockets of the Senna, who's already, past the 90 soul point. At this point is hovering
Oh,
towards
they're
the
looking for the
hundreds.
fight. Photography Raptor comes out of the stealth, looking to get the pick onto Napquan. He flashes away. It looks like he will survive, but that is the danger of playing side lanes into a Twitch. The rat is very, very big. He is definitely a rat man, and he is a very angry rat man at that.
Big rat go burr. It is not fun to play against, and we're continuing just to see them just really pressuring these lanes and not giving any counterplay. They haven't seen the Malzahar. Malzahar just kind of hiding off in the winds. Now is going to kind of throw this mid wave back towards the Wooper base. But really, it's all on the side of NSG. They can kind of choose what they want to do, but if they make a misstep, as we've seen, Woopers always has some fight in them, regardless of what the goal difference is.
Ishan gets a big chunk onto Nightmare Hall. That actually forces the TP out of Eldragon before the fight has even started. A really good Glacial Slow, but there's just not going to be any angle for any follow-up. So we see the Elder Dragon coming up again. The long-lost dragon, as we're going to see another fight around it. Before we get into the fighting, though, I want to point out, production informed me that at 40 minutes, Beepots had only 87 souls. And this is a problem playing Farming Senna. You just don't have the capabilities to get as much souls as you would if you were fasting, but we see the fight. We see the bush. He is going in. The Senna also picks up Sad Lantern at the start. Beanie is traded back. There is no jungler. There is no smite. NSGA is just actually going to look to end the game here off of this fight when L Dragon gets the killing spree. Cleansed by Photography Raptor, stops the Senna route. Beepot's chasing L Dragon maybe to get the pick, but the rest of NSGA has now gained control of the base. Photography Raptor goes in. Will he be able to get the kill? He gets one and he gets two. That is going to be the game. That is going to be the series. NSG Amethyst are your winners of week 2. Here in VAS. It has been a long night. It has been an arduous night, but there has certainly been a lot of gaming here.
That was a game and a half. That was a game and a half out of a 3-game series. That was like 7 games. I don't know how to do the math, but that was what it was. My parting thoughts to this is, number one, Woopers did phenomenal. Like we said on the pre-show, NSG is representing the org that won the last split. They're a big name, and they have to produce. They have, 3 teams alone in the VAS, as well as in other leagues. They had to come out of the box showing that they are indeed the same organization that produced the last champions. While on the other side, Woopers were playing the uphill battle and had to show that they could honestly compete. And I think both those questions were somewhat answered tonight.
Yeah,
as
let's
you can
take a
see,
look
just
at
from
these
damage.
damage graphs. That is a lot of Twitch damage. In past 2 games on the side of NSG Amethyst, it was Rendleman pulling out the big DPS numbers, but the swap away from the Jhin has allowed Photography Raptor to sort of take that carry mantle. We see Beepots and Ishan, especially in these late game fights, are getting so much damage down, but it wasn't enough. It was not enough for the side of Wooper in a very, very close fought series. We'll have to see. I mean, it's week 2, and the fact that these teams are able to go toe to toe to each other at such a deep level, at such a long series. It's been a very long series. Shows that there is a lot of room for both of these teams, both to improve and to prove themselves against the other teams in their group. The fact that these teams are able to be as scrappy shows that any other team and group be watching should be scared. And I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing is, like you said, this is week 2. This is only the second game we've got to stream. And this is only the second time we've really gotten to really look at the potential of everybody. But at the end of the day, we just have more and more great competitions coming up. We're going to have to see if anybody can match up to what we've seen from both MSG, Amethyst, as well as Woopers.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure, casting the series. This has been one of the most interesting series I've had the pleasure to cast. It was great casting with you, Regdor. It was great being produced by you, Campcom, wherever you are in the background. But I don't think I have anything else. I think my voice is about to give out. So, do you have any closing thoughts, Regdor?
No, you guys are awesome day. It's always phenomenal casting with you. I can't wait until next week. In case I'm not seeing on the screen, I'm giving finger pistols right now on our way out.
Oh, I love our finger pistols. They're always so great. All right, we got to give the finger pistols out. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
It's hard to show me the car.